The tape, let's grind. Shut up. The tape. Let's grind. The tape. We do it a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape. Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The tape.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
The tape.
UGA game day, boy, we ball out. Pull up, put the whole conference in the doghouse. Leave them 6 feet, see me on the win streak. All-star status, go coach, and the bench deep. Offense on 10, how we run it? Your best ain't nothing, we gon' send them boys punting. Black and red, got them dead on arrival. Defense hunker down for the tie. Hey, you don't want it with the dogs. Film guy on it, you don't want it with my dog. Break it down, play by play, that's the day-to-day. They know we ain't come to play, boy, it's UGA. Kirby Smart, I cannot play the fool. Back to back, we did not come to lose. Back to back, like we got something to prove. Pay your dues, dog nation on the move. What's up?
We do it a little bit different around here.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
The tape.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face.
Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Shut up and grind the tape.
Shut up. Let's grind.
We ain't gonna play. Them dogs in your face. Shut up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape.
The
Shut
tape.
up and grind.
Let's grind.
Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape. Shut up and grind. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro. Grind the tape, bro.
Shut up. The tape.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to MBR, or as we like to call it around here, Nothing But Rants, the show where I find topics that I'm oddly passionate about and I pontificate upon them. These are not hot takes, but rather takes that I'm hot about. What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome in to the Film Guy Network, brought to you by our friends at BetUS. We got a loaded show for you guys. It's Tuesday, which means Week 10 predictions are coming to you hot and way too early. We obviously feel uncomfortable about predicting football games on a Tuesday, but hey, it's the life we live in and the world we live in an algorithmic-based approach here on the channel. Michigan making NIL plays, create an ideal college football bracket. We'll be making that tonight. Marcel Reed versus Connor Wegman. I'm going to challenge not only the boys here on the stage tonight, but you in the chat as well to just find a reason why Connor Wegman should be the starter over Marcel Reed. We're going to attempt to challenge that one tonight. Who's on Upset Alert, as always. And, of course, we're going to be hammering the best bets on the show tonight as well. But I want to open with this right here. It feels like every week or so, boys, I'm giving some type of opening about some type of progress report that we're having right now on the channel. And that's a good thing to be having. But it just seems, as of late, we've had an insane amount of growth over the last several months, and it feels necessary every time we reach or are on the precipice of reaching some type of milestone, we take the time out to acknowledge it and thank you guys. At some point in the next 24 hours, we will cross over 35,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Since August 29th, just 2 months ago, this channel has gained over 12,000 subscribers in the last 60 days. It's without a doubt our steepest ascent into this space, and I can't be more thankful for it. I got a saying on the board right here. It says, growth is not linear. The work is. Guys, we have, I was just telling you before the show, last Wednesday was our first night off since we started doing this in season. We went 7 days a week working all year last year. We've done it all year this year, and the growth has shown up, right? But the work has been consistent throughout, and we're just now feeling like we're reaping the benefits of it. So first, I want to thank you for tremendously amounts of pride and joy and thankfulness around this network for the amount of growth that we've had. But secondly, and perhaps most importantly, I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you listening to this today, because I've met a lot of you guys, as the kids say, IRL, like in real life. I've met a lot of you guys out in the world doing work, right? And I've seen you, and you run up and you love the show. Every single one of you. You guys got recognized this week. You guys love this network and love this show. The ones that have found it, you guys stand by it and stay true to it. You 100% love it. The most common response that I get when I meet you guys out in real life, right, is that nobody does it quite like us, right? Nobody does what we do here on the network, the combination of the film and the fun that we have around here. So I need you to do something for me. I need you to start shouting from the mountaintops how special this place is. I need you slinging the Film Guy Network harder than the folks at the kiosk at your local mall sling whatever they're selling, all right? I need you to sling the Film Guy Network harder than Omar was slinging shotgun shells in The Wire. I need you guys out here screaming from the mountaintops just how great La Familia is. That's what I need. I need you guys out here preaching and spreading the good news. For there is a ball knower. Go now and spread the word. I need you guys out there. I need you guerrilla tactics, guerrilla marketing tactics out here in the streets. Everybody you pass, hey, are you watching the Film Guy Network? Why not? You don't care about ball? You don't want to be a certified ball knower? I need you guys out here in these streets. Welcome in to a tremendous show tonight. Again, we do have Week 10 predictions, Michigan making NIL plays, create your ideal bracket, all the good stuff on this network going on. Make sure you're hammering that like button, and for sure, make sure you are subscribing to this network as well. Boys, where do you want to start? I know where I want to start. I want to start by paying the bills. Let's give a shout out to our friends over at BetUS. BetUS is our sponsor for tonight's show. If you haven't already, head over to BetUS and start getting in on the action. Using promo code YouTube150, you can get 150% deposit match up to $2,000 on your first deposit. All right, and 125% deposit match up to $2K on your next 2 deposits. Again, only using promo code YouTube150. Kirby, we're returning with best bets this week, and I'm here to tell you, if you go under 500 from now on, I'm taking the reins.
Oh,
I didn't go under 500 this week.
Oh, yeah, but you're on the verge, 16-16-1.
Yeah.
So losing week this week, you're fired.
Yeah.
You're fired.
Been a very average week.
That's all right. Look, you can be piss poor. You can be really good. What you can't be is average. Average is no good, all right? If we're out here going fitty-fitty, we can't fade you or ride with you. So let's find a happy medium here. Give me that keyboard, by the way. I need that sucker. All right, best bets over on BetUS. All these are brought to you again by our friends over at BetUS. Promo code YouTube150 for your deposit match. What do you got for me this week, Kirk?
First one we've got of the week is Florida State versus North Carolina. Both these teams have had rough seasons. Both these teams have lost their starting quarterbacks. I'm taking the under in this game. It's at 50.5 right now when I got it. I'm not sure what it's at now, but wherever it is, I'm feeling comfortable where it is.
We got Florida State, and you're taking unders?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is a 100% stay away game for me.
Yeah.
These two teams are as unpredictable as the weather.
The one thing that has been consistent is Florida State does not score points very well. So
That's a good fact.
Next one I've got is Duke versus Miami. Duke's getting 21.5 there. I took Duke plus the points there. I think that 21.5 is a little too much. Malik Murphy's a very solid quarterback. I know Miami's looked good this year, but I'm banking on them failing at some point.
Don't spoil too much analysis on later on segments. We got some good stuff coming for this football game. What else you got for me, Kirk?
Third game I've got Tennessee versus Kentucky. Tennessee is 16.5 point favorites here. I like that. I think Kentucky has been a very bad football team throughout the season. They're inconsistent, but one thing is consistent. Their offense has not been very good. Tennessee's defense is ferocious. We'll get after the quarterback. I feel like Tennessee can cover that amount of points.
Dude, a 24-7 game gets you out of here with the dub.
Exactly.
I mean, and that's very plausible. Very plausible.
Those are the 3 I've got this week.
All right, we're going 3. Yeah. I like that.
Kind of an
I like
interesting
that.
week for line, so stayed away from a good bit of stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's put 5 on all these across the board, all right? And you know what? Since it's just a 3-legger, and I don't feel terrible about it this week, to be honest with you, Kirby. That Florida State one bothers me a little bit. I might be interested in making this a 3-way parlay. You know, a little 3-legger. All right, maybe we'll fiddle around with that after the show. But there's the lineup this week, brought to you by our friends over at BetUS and the homie Christian Kirby. By the way, Curb, and by the way, audience, if you're not following me on Twitter already, I don't know what you're doing. I don't know how you even found us, to be quite honest with you. Maybe the YouTube algorithm is just that good. All right, but if you have found us, all right, and you're not following me on Twitter, at Brooks Austin BA, I am currently 11-5 on locks. 11-5. So you're making cash over there on at Brooks Austin BA. Not so much here on Best Bets, but I'm hopeful. This feels like a 3-0 week. Get to 19-16-1.
That'd be awesome.
That's respectable. That'd
be awesome.
All right, let's get it started on the show sheet tonight, guys. Michigan making big NIL plays. Have you heard this? Have you read the news on this?
I heard about it, yeah.
All right, well, I'll give you the news if you haven't. I do the reading so you don't have to. Reports surfacing today that Michigan has extended an offer to Bryce Underwood, the #1 quarterback commit in 2025, currently committed to LSU. Reports are that it's roughly $5 million over 3 or 4 years. Exact numbers seem to be very vague based off all the reading and reporting that I've seen, or the reading of the reporting that I have seen. Rather, the exact numbers very, very vague. However, what is very clear and what we know, a couple of things. One, it's multiple M's. Multiple M's. He's getting millions of dollars to play college football no matter what. The other thing that we know for certain, we don't know the exact number, but we do know that the offer Michigan has made is, quote, competitive with LSU. So we can assume that the offers are being relatively matched. Ironically enough, the other thing that we know is that this comes just a month after Dave Portnoy, the CEO of Barstool, went on social media and let the world know he's down to pay $3 million annually for any quarterback. He watched Alex Orji's experiment for a couple of games. He watched the walk-on Warren. He's seen Jack Tuttle retire. He's seen enough of it. I'm willing to pay $3 million annually. Just go get me anybody. Boys, first question of many that I have on this topic today. A, do you think this is just coincidence, this old coinky-dink that old Dave Portnoy was out here flaunting, I'll pay $3 million, and then boom, all of a sudden Michigan's in the mix for Bryce Underwood with an NIL offer?
I mean, maybe, but I would think it's not a
Yeah, don't piss on my boots and tell me it's rain.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if a guy like that is saying that he'll give money, I mean, certainly those words have actions as well, as I would think. So
The one thing I'm hesitant about this is if Dave Portnoy were shelling out the money for this, he would be telling you about it. So that's where I'm kind of suspicious.
Well,
but,
maybe he's waiting to see if it actually happens.
yeah, I mean,
and
if
when
they
it
land him and
does-
he comes out and says, "Oh yeah, that was me," checks out. But it also seems like Dave Portnoy would be talking about how he's putting up the money for it.
That's a great point about this. But here's the deal. I don't know if legalese might keep him from doing that, right?
Yeah.
You don't know if there's an NIL law that says you're not allowed to basically take ownership, which is what that would be.
Yeah.
Kind of. So, yeah, maybe there are some rules on here. I don't think it's a coincidence at all. The other question I have for you before we have actual analysis as to whether or not this is worth it and whether or not they will actually flip him. Do you think Tennessee fans see this report and they're like, damn, we got a little gypped?
Why? Because they paid $8 million for Nico.
They played 8/3. 8/3 was the reporting from Spire Sports on that initial commitment from one Nico.
Iamaleava.
Iamaleava. Did
There
I
you
say
go.
that right?
I thought it was
Boy.
Iamaleava. Huh?
I thought it was Iamaleava.
Iamaleava. That's what I was under the impression of as well. Iamaleava, nonetheless. So, yeah. Do you think Tennessee fans are like, #1 quarterback in America for $3 million less than what we're paying right now? That's interesting. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. But
Or do you think they not care?
I don't necessarily know if they care. I think they care more that they put up that kind of money and that Nico isn't playing at a Heisman world-beating level yet,
Think
which
you're
he's
right
fully
there.
capable of doing. He's in his first year starting. Give him a break.
2 more questions. Can they flip him?
sure.
Yeah.
Anybody can flip. Anybody can flip anybody, it seems
Money
like
talks.
nowadays.
Here's why I think they have a really good chance to flip him. Not only is he from Michigan, but they also have obviously not extended the final offer. Here's the funny thing about these negotiations, and you should always know this. If they're gaining steam now, they've yet to throw their last chip on the table. All right, they are not all in yet, all right, with this NIL effort. So there will be an additional movement and an additional push over the next 45 days, you would imagine, prior to National Signing Day. That's the most important thing. You always hold your last card till December if you're the big boy. If you're the big boy in this hunt, which I would presume Michigan is, based off the way this reporting came out today, you would assume they are. You hold your last card to the end. Now, the last question, is he worth it? I'll let you guys answer first, and then the old SI recruiting director will give you his opinion.
I mean, I think it's certainly worth it just because he does have the traits, and he has something that nobody in your quarterback room has right now, I would say. Alex Orji has some traits. Like, he is a really good athlete, but we also have seen the shortcomings of him. And I know that you haven't seen Bryce Underwood necessarily play at the level that he would have to at a college, at a place like Michigan, but that's a risk you take with any high school athlete, regardless of their rating. If they're a 5-star, 3-star, you're taking that risk of maybe they are able to adjust to this competitive field. Maybe they do, and they do it at a quicker rate than normal. So I would say yes, just because that's something you have to have, and you have to get going very quickly.
Even if he's not what he's advertised as, even if he ends up being a bust, 5-star wide receivers and offensive linemen and running backs want to play with high-quality quarterbacks. So when your school lands a guy like this, it automatically turns the heads of every other recruit in the vicinity, in the country, all over, and it can bode well for you building momentum. So it's absolutely worth it just from the standpoint of what it can happen in the butterfly effect. Even if he doesn't end up being a good player for Michigan, you're still going to get more 5-stars in the door because of him.
In the closing of these 2025 days, you better get this flip done immediately to make that type of impact.
Right.
Okay. But from a transfers might take a different look now. All right. Next year's class certainly might take a different look now in terms of the skill position players. I'm with you. And this certainly seems to be one of the more charismatic young football players at the quarterback position that there is. So you're right in the sense that he does seem to pull and have sway with elite athletes. Let's talk about the eval. 6'4", 200 pounds. He's obviously from the state of Michigan. He's an incredibly sound thrower. I first saw this guy when he was 14 years old at Lake Point up here in Northwest Georgia. He was at a 7-on-7 coming down with his team out of Michigan from Detroit. Dante Moore was the quarterback of the 17U team. He was the quarterback of the 15U team. At that point in time, he was already 6'3". He was already 200 pounds. He already had a state title under his belt. He's an extremely polished thrower of the football from what I remember and what I see on tape now. He's a tremendous athlete as well at his size. He's got really, really good short area quickness. He can make you miss and run away from you right now on the high school level. Whether that is a projection onto the next level, I don't necessarily know. And here's what makes it hard about this evaluation of Bryce, okay? And I would say this about any quarterback, not just a quarterback fetching $5 million worth of NIL and ranked the #1 player in America. He's playing really bad comp right now. Really, really bad comp. And it makes it so much of a projection for this guy as it is for any four-year high school starter, all right? But this is a massive leap from what you are playing now, the caliber of football you are playing now, onto the next level. There is no highlight tapes. Over the last 18 months, there are none. You will go on Huddle and you will find freshman and sophomore highlight tapes. If you go to find full games right now, which I have done prior to this segment, you will find basically video content creators going out to Bryce's game, filming highlights of that football game, and then putting it up on the internet. So I watched one of these games today. By the way, he plays in a level of competition where they're either beating teams by 40, which are 6 of the 8 football games they've played this year, or they're playing it tight. They have 2 one-score games this year, one of which they won, one of which they lost, okay? In the loss, he had 78 yards passing, so they clearly took him away.
Whoa.
Yeah, 78 yards passing in a loss. The win, all right, I don't know his stats in that football game. However, I did watch that one. All right, the highlight clips that I watched of that one, everything is at near or behind the line of scrimmage, and every massive play that is made in that football game comes via Bryce Underwood's legs. All right, he is the best runner on that football team. It is very clear to me. The other thing that is very clear to me is that there is no full-field read progression going on right now with Bryce and this high school football team. It's not a very... it's a high school offense. That's what it is. It's not like a super sophisticated offense. In fact, I saw one ball in that game thrown down the field. It happened to be an interception from the other team. All right, here's the other thing about this guy. He's a dog. He is an absolute dog. He is a competitive animal. You know how I know? 2 personal fouls after 2 touchdowns.
Ooh.
One spiked the football. The other one took his helmet off once he scored.
Hell yeah.
And here's why I love it. Because he moonlighted as a safety in this football game as well. Put the gloves on, went out there, played safety. You're a dog. You're an absolute dog, but you are a projection right now. You are 6'4", you're 200 pounds, and right now as a senior in high school, you're averaging 17 pass attempts per football game. So if I'm Michigan and I'm throwing $5 million at the in-state guy, I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to let you know. I'm going to do it because of the traits, but it ain't nothing but a prayer. Just like a lot of these situations at the quarterback position are. By the way, we're a coin flip in the NFL in the first round at the position. So no matter how much money and how much film and how much tape and how much deep eval you got on guys, it's still a coin flip. It's a coin flip for all of these guys. It's certainly a coin flip here.
Sounds like a Michigan quarterback, though. 17 attempts per game. Hey, that's right in their wheelhouse.
Toting the rock, 17 attempts a game. By the way, he's their second leading rusher right now in high school.
Off the top of your head, what's the best example of a guy coming from a highly
Brock
rated-
Vandegrift is all that kept popping. I don't know where you're going, but all that kept popping into my head was, my God, it's like watching Brock Vandegrift. That's what it was.
I was more saying didn't play much competition, but excelled.
Yeah,
at
Brock
college.
Vandegrift. Brock Vandegrift played single-A private high school football, broke Deshaun Watson's records, only to be shattered by his next incumbent in Aaron Philo. It's Brock Vandegrift. Now, Brock Vandegrift was a coin flip 5-star. This guy's either going to be a first-round draft pick or we're going to have to find out up at Kentucky.
Wasn't Arch kind of in a similar situation, though, too?
Yeah.
He played low competition. Hey, this is a 5-star, though. The pedigree is there, the lineage of where he comes from. That certainly plays a role in this as well. But, hey, he also throws the football really well. So, obviously not the first one to have this type of career arc. But, to be fair, Arch was still slinging it. He was slinging it down the field, and he was showing it like, hey, this is what I got, and this is what I'm doing on the football field.
Yeah, when Arch's football teams played heavy competition, I felt like Arch had 16 totes and 58 attempts. All right. This is a little different story right now. And I do wish, and this is a wish for me, the kid's going for $5 million. He's going to go play Division I football. He's the number 1 ranked player in America, so who needs a fucking highlight tape? This guy. I need one. I need to at least see it. I don't need to be digging through YouTube clips to find sideline footage of you playing the one close game you played all year and you happen to win. Now, they won it because of him. There's no doubt about that. I think he even might have created a fumble towards the end of that football game on the defensive side of the football. So, absolute dog, projection.
Yeah.
100% of projection right now. So, that being known, worth a $5 million flyer?
I don't know.
If you're Michigan, I think you do it.
Yeah, why
I
not?
think
But-
so.
You got Jaden Davis on the roster. Jaden Davis was a top 100 player in America coming
Sure
out of high
was.
school at the quarterback position. So, like, it ain't like the room's that bad.
I don't know.
But Jaden ain't on the field right now.
No.
They've gone through
he's
3
not.
quarterbacks.
That's what I was about to say.
So
is
he must ain't be popping.
maybe they're like, we might need to go ahead and start thinking of another plan. Maybe they're already at that point.
Interesting. All right. Should we do predictions or create an ideal bracket? Chat's already getting on to us for not doing predictions already, even though we're only 20 minutes in.
I guess we
gotta
need to
do
hit these
predictions
predictions.
So
then.
let's do predictions. Also, super chat while we're paused. And I've seen some comments already about the drip being worn today. That 3/4 zip, or quarter, I always call it a 3/4 zip. That quarter zip Jay Will's got on is available right now in the Shopify link, all right, in the description of this video over there at Universities Forever. Guys, they help us out with all of our merchandise. I know a bunch of people have asked about merchandise on here before. We do have merch. It is available in the link, as is that quarter zip and the rest of the stuff that Universities Forever has available over there. So go check those guys out. Let's get into this week 10 predictions. Louisville at Clemson. Who wants to start?
I think that Louisville's been such an up and down team, but one thing I do know is that they have found ways to be explosive on offense. Corey Brooks, he's been one of the better wide receivers in college football. I'd say he's a very underrated player. I believe he leads the nation right now in 20-plus yard receptions. So they're making it happen. He's a big reason why they're making it happen offensively. So I think they can score points, but they're in a situation that a lot of college football teams are in of they can't play complementary football. The defense at times just can't get stops. That's one of the reasons why they were not able to beat Miami, because Miami was just scoring at will. So while I do think that they will be able to make it somewhat of a contest because they can put up points, I do think that Clemson's defense is legit. It is one of the best in the conference. And I think that this Clemson offense is playing really good football too, and teams have had have struggled trying to stop that. So I'm going to say Clemson gets the win here, and I got a final score of 33-27.
Ooh, close.
Holy shit, that's the exact score I had.
Yeah, I got a 34-24. Louisville, good football team. And you talked about it. Really good, surprisingly good offense. I think they're a top 20 offense in every statistical category that I found today looking up this matchup. But, man, you talking about an ideal schedule. Clemson got it. Clemson drew that. Not only did they draw a shitty ACC slate with a really bad Florida State on the schedule, but they get a bye week before this game against Louisville, which coming into the season, everybody thought was going to be one of their tougher ones. They go to Vatech to finish at Pitt, Citadel at home, South Carolina at home. So this is one of their final tests, if you will. They got Pitt and South Carolina, still quality opponents left on the schedule. No shouts to you, or no slights to you there, Vatech. But this is, quote, as tough as it gets in their ACC slate. This is as bad. This is as hard as it gets, and they get a week to prepare for it. So that's ideal for them. Clemson, in my opinion, is still Clemson when given extra time to prepare against an ACC opponent. This doesn't apply when they're, got a whole 8 months to prepare for Georgia. Klubnik has another big day, and he may need to score Saturday, honestly. I got it 34-24 Clemson.
Yeah, this is going to be one of Clemson's first real tests since the Georgia game. They've passed every other thing with flying colors because the quality of competition hasn't really been there. I don't think Louisville's a great team, but they're definitely good enough to give a team like Clemson problems. But at the end of the day, Clemson's on a roll right now. They've got momentum. Their offense is looking like a competent offense, not just competent, but actually really good. So I like, as Jay Will said, I like Clemson in this 33-27.
How do we get to 33 points, boys?
Get to 27, kick 2 field goals. Kick a lot of field goals.
Yeah, a lot of field goals to get to 33.
34, miss an extra point.
Oh, that was a classic one. I know, back to the Underwood discussion. They missed the first PAT, and then he drives back 2 PATs, 15 yards on 2 touchdowns. Luckily, the kicker came through on both of those. But
Attaboy.
Yeah, absolute dog. And some people are going to think I'm crapping on him for the personal fouls. Gunnar Stockton had the same personal fouls coming out of high school, and people don't remember that about him. All right, we're all on Clemson there. Oregon at Michigan. Guys, did you know against Power 4 opponents and Boise, Oregon is allowing 137 yards per game on the ground?
It's not bad.
That's a lot of yardage. They've allowed 4 yards per carry, which is above average.
Yeah.
4 yards per carry from backs in 5 out of 8 games this season. They've allowed 32 10-plus yards runs, 10-plus yard runs this year, has Oregon. But you know why? And going into a matchup against Michigan, a run football team, those all sound like dooming statistics for Oregon. But do you know why they've allowed so much yardage on the ground?
Why?
Because teams can't throw the football against these guys.
No, they cannot.
They cannot throw the football against these guys, which means it tells me Lanning has been playing most of the season, and I don't have to go to the tape to watch this. Lanning's been playing most of the season with really, really light boxes. And he's telling you can try to run on me today, but you ain't throwing it. And to this point in the season, they're allowing 173 yards per game through the air. That ain't good.
And now you're playing an opponent where you can sell out against the run.
You damn right. That's where I'm going. Give me Oregon big. I got Oregon 34-10 in this football game.
You're close in the same range as me. I was going to go off of similar points of anytime Dan Lanning gets to face off of a team where he basically knows what you're going to be doing 90% of the time. He knows which option you're choosing.
Bad news bears.
Yeah, it's not a good matchup for a defensive mastermind like himself. And Oregon's playing really good football. They're playing great offensively. They're picking it up on defense as well. I have them winning 34-14.
I think that Oregon has looked incredible this season. They're terrifying. Their defense, I mean, we know the quality of Dan Lanning defenses. My problem is they have not really played a tough road test. And I understand that at this point in the season, a Michigan team is probably not going to be as fired up as they would have been coming into the season when they still have a lot to play for, when they're coming off that national championship high. But other than playing in Pasadena against UCLA, there's not really a road environment here that you would say is anything of the sorts of challenging. So I think that could probably present some issues for them. Also, the fact that, like you said, they are allowing a good amount of rushing yards. Now, I get it. They'll be able to sell out on the run because Michigan is a 1940s offense that cannot throw the football. I do think it'll be a lower scoring game because of that, because you're going to have a lot of teams that are just trying to sit on the ball with Michigan. So I've got Oregon winning this game 27-17. I think it'll be closer than people are expecting.
Just to let everybody know, prior to COVID, Michigan had a streak of 306 consecutive sellouts. So they show up.
Mm-hmm. Always.
They show up. They weren't 306 games good.
No.
No.
There's a Rich Rod stretch in there. All right, so this fan base shows up no matter what. They're going to be loud and 100,000 strong.
Oh, yeah, especially for a newcomer like Oregon. They get the first look at that, get to do the good old welcome to the Big Ten, baby. This is our introduction of it to you. Yeah. So they're going to be pumped up.
It would be a very big welcome to the Big Ten if this score were 7-3 at halftime.
Is Orji going to be playing quarterback?
I have no idea. Because they started the Walker kid again, right? Last
Warren?
weekend? Yeah.
Yeah.
Warren.
I guess. And Tuttle's retired, so they're down to 2 quarterbacks and Jaden Davis, who we just have to assume he's not looking very good in practice, right?
I guess.
Yeah, something must be going wrong there.
I wonder if a Michigan beat reporter's asked that question. Like, hey, where's Jaden Davis? You seem to be cycling through quarterbacks like I do underwear. What's going on here? We're all on Oregon, 34-10?
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. Texas A&M at South Carolina, night game. Williams-Brice, 7:30, going to be lit. What do you got?
Texas A&M is another one of these teams where you look around and it's kind of like, what's the road game? They've had all their really, really tough games at home. Obviously LSU's one of them. I am just not sold on Texas A&M being as incredible as they are. I think their win against LSU was great. I think Marcel Reed adds a new wrinkle to that offense. I think they're going to be a problem in the SEC for years to come. Mike Elko has definitely showed that you can have success at Texas A&M, especially in the first year, but there's just something about me that says that this is a game that South Carolina gets them. I think that Texas A&M is riding very high right now.
What's Texas A&M's hole right now, apart from quarterback uncertainty?
They don't necessarily have a glaring one that you could attack, but I wouldn't say that that's a reason that I would pick them to lose.
Okay, so how are they exposed to lose this football game?
South Carolina's front seven is going to cause problems for you.
And that's part of my notes. I think this is the best defensive line matchup we will see all year. All year. What Texas A&M has up on their front four and what South Carolina has on their front four, are there 5 first-round draft picks there?
Yeah.
Both
probably.
of the Shamars, maybe number 11, the transfer from Purdue over there at A&M, and then Dylan Stewart and Luke Kennard. There's 5. And they play 2 positions, edge rusher and D tackle. Like that's a lot of talent right here. But here's the deciding factor in this game for me. I trust Texas A&M's offensive line against South Carolina's defensive line more than I trust South Carolina's offensive line versus Texas
South
A&M's
Carolina's
defensive
offensive line is
bad.
It's really
And it
bad.
has been bad.
That's been the thing. That's been their issue for the last few years under Shane Beamer.
And I would say that some of their turnover problems have been created by the fact that they can't keep the quarterback up.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got guys just blowing through your offensive line. Lenore Sellers, before he could even make a decision with the football, I mean, he's getting blown up in the backfield, and the ball, and he's fumbling the football as a result of it. And it's hard to find consistency on offense when you're not getting consistent play out front either.
And I also, given at this point in Mike Elko's career and Shane Beamer's career, I expect Mike Elko to manage his flaws slightly better in this football game than Shane Beamer will. All right, I've got A&M 28-13. What do you guys got going on?
I have Texas A&M winning 30-24.
I've got South Carolina 28-24.
All right.
Both of A&M's games on the road against SEC opponents, they've given up 20 points. That's including to Florida.
It's predicted to be a close game. I think that
I think the line's 2.5 for A&M right now.
Yeah, I think it was 4.
That's all South Carolina's defense, isn't it?
I think it's that. They're Texas A&M on the road. There's a lot of things that are going towards South Carolina's favor coming into this game. But I just don't think that, like, even with how great South Carolina's defense has played, and specifically their front, the defense still hasn't been, like, uberly consistent. Like, they're still giving up points. They're still giving up explosives. Sometimes they're shooting themselves in the foot with dumb penalties. Like, as great as they are and as many negative plays that they force, they're still giving it up a little bit in the secondary. And, again, they're just giving up explosives. And Texas A&M has found ways to be explosive this year, especially when it matters most. And then, the offensive issues still just haven't seen enough from South Carolina for me to really start buying into. I can start putting in some stock and some hope into South Carolina's offense to be able to go and beat somebody. Like for the Alabama game, it was your defense was making plays for you, putting you in great positions to go and strike and score, and you were capitalizing off of them, and that resulted in you being in a 1-score football game in the fourth quarter.
I think my trepidation for this Texas A&M team as well is that, I read a dictionary every now and then. I think it's the fact that
break a mental sweat as well.
Everything that Texas A&M has kind of been advertised as for being good is all based on really this game against LSU. And it was a great performance against LSU, but we go back
They
and,
beat the shit out of Missouri.
They beat the shit out of Missouri, yeah, but we all established that Missouri's not really a good football team. And then, you look back now, you lost to Notre Dame, who is Notre Dame. They've lost to NIU this year. They're gonna Notre Dame their way to a playoff. But other than that, it hasn't been like anything that makes you really go, wow. And all of a sudden it's like, hey, A&M's a top 10 team because of what they did to LSU. And they just hadn't lost since week 1. I think that a lot of people are quietly banking on at some point the wheels will fall off this wagon just because A&M's never really succeeded in this situation before. 1, 2, you've got a guy who's in the SEC for his first year. He's new to it. So I'm just kind of banking and waiting on something to go astray here.
Well, unlike DeBoer, at least Elko's got DC experience in this conference.
Correct.
So I'll give him that.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have a football discussion with you, Kirby.
What's up?
So Marcel Reed, quarterback run game, heavily involved.
Yes.
South Carolina, a defense that notoriously through 8 games has been tremendous at disguising coverage.
Mm-hmm.
Is it harder to disguise coverage against mobile quarterbacks?
That's a really
Because you have to be so gap sound against the quarterback run that I can't be misaligned pre-snap because post-snap I have to be in the right spot.
correct. Because if you're having to roll over as a safety and your quarterback's going to roll away,
And you've got
roll away.
quarterback.
Exactly.
You're in deep shit.
Things like that are going to cause issues for you. I still think that your front four is good enough to get home enough to cause issues. You're going to have to spy him consistently. You're going to have to probably mush rush. You're probably not going to want to, hey, let's just go out and try to sack this guy. Let's more get him on. Kirby Smart talks about this all the time. Let's try to get him uncomfortable more than give him alleys to run through and just try to sack him. You see this happen with Jalen Milroe a lot. People go after sacks for him, and he makes you miss. The success his defense have had against Jalen Milroe is making him uncomfortable, forcing him to make throws that he might not necessarily want to do. I think if South Carolina tries to come out here and just say, hey, we're going to peel our ears back and try to go after this kid, you're probably not going to succeed.
That's what they did against Milroe, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like their whole game plan was, we're just gonna be aggressive. Like we're gonna live and die. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna sack you. We're gonna blow up mesh points, or you're gonna explosively kill us. And they had success against Milroe. They lost the football game, but they had success against him
Correct.
defensively. I don't think they play soft. I think
No.
they continue to hunt. And I think it could create some problems for Marcel Reed, but I trust right now Colin Klein's ability to make explosive plays off of their aggressiveness in the quarterback run game a little bit more than I did DeBoer's, because
Yeah.
it's new to DeBoer. And the idea that we're gonna be a quarterback run offense, like that's relatively new to him, and we've talked about that ad nauseum on this network. All right, last game that we're predicting this week. We're both on A&M. He's on South Carolina. You didn't give us a score on that, did you?
I did 28-24.
All right, 28-24. All right, Ohio State at Penn State. First of all, I want to give a big collective boo to Fox for making this a noon game. And I know your stance on these. You know what? I like noon games. We at least get something to watch. No.
Is that how I sound to you?
Kind of. When you take easy, or when you take just I'm anti-man stances, that's what you sound to me. That's how you sound. Because you're a big pro noon kickoff guy, aren't
dude.
you?
They've grown on me.
You can kiss my white ass.
Oh,
Damn.
Ultra white
how about
nowadays.
that?
Damn, dude. What's your vendetta with noon games?
It's a big game. It's a home game for Penn State. It should be a 7:30 night whiteout. That's period.
Yeah, that's I'm with you.
This
on
is
that.
when football's at its best.
I'm with you on that.
College, at least.
A wideout like this, that deserves to be a night game.
Hell
I
yeah.
agree. I would
100%.
say this game would probably be better suited as a night game. I'm not against noon kicks though. I'm fine with the noon kick.
The only reason why I am fine with it this week is how the slate plays out for you get Penn State and Ohio State at noon, Georgia versus Florida 3:30, and then you get Texas A&M South Carolina at night because that's at 7:30, I believe. It plays out the way that you would kind of want it to where you'll be able to single screen all of those.
I'm out on it.
But I
Game
agree.
needs to be prime time.
I'm very upset if I was a Penn State fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Penn State fans are very upset about that.
All because Fox wants to have their own little niche. How about you be competitive? You know what I mean? How about you be competitive? We don't dodge 8 o'clock starts because some big internet show exists at 8 o'clock on the nights that we go.
So CBS didn't get this game?
Nah, I think it's a Fox game.
Dude, CBS fumbled the bag.
I've never heard of CBS Big Noon Kickoff.
What are we doing?
CBS fumbled the bag.
You mean
so
you
hard.
traded out?
I'll double check this.
You traded out the SEC and you don't even get this one?
Fumbled the bag.
What are we doing?
Fumbled.
Let's hold the fumbling of the bags.
No, I
here.
still.
yeah.
The take still stands.
It
on
still
that.
stands. They
absolutely
fumbled
fumbled
the
Oh,
shit
the
yeah,
out of
for sure.
No, that game's on Fox.
What are we doing?
Fumbled.
What are we doing?
Fumbled. Fumblerooski.
That boy Gary needs to be on that call.
Free Gary, bro.
The
Free my
CBS,
man
noon,
Gary.
the CBS noon game is a 1-6 Air Force versus a 7-0 Army. The 3:30 game is Oregon at Michigan.
Free Gary.
Gary's on Oregon at Michigan. So
Free Gary.
Gary for the third week in a row is going to have to call a 28-point bludgeoning.
Man.
It's unfortunate for the boy Gary D. Shout out to Gary D, friend of the show. Hope he's watching right now.
Hope he's doing well, man. Haven't heard from him in a minute.
Gary, if you're watching right now, shoot the homie a text.
Man, I do miss getting to listen to him on the weekends.
Yeah.
One of the
Careful
more
what you wish for.
one of
That's
the
all I gotta
more inappropriately disliked broadcasters
say. For sure.
in the history of broadcasters.
And now guess what? Everyone's saying, you know what? I miss
I
you,
miss Gary and
Careful
Vern.
what you wish for, people.
Just out here
You deserve it.
hoping for things that are gonna make
Complain
your
about
heart
the SEC on ESPN. You wished for this.
Damn.
All right, let's get into the prediction now.
Oh, yeah, let's do this. Did you know that Will Howard apparently grew up a Penn State diehard?
Yeah, I thought this quote was interesting and intriguing when he gave it.
Yeah, apparently he's on a villain arc mission.
Yeah.
Do you remember the quote verbatim?
I don't
They're
know.
gonna find out.
They're going to find out. They told me I wasn't good enough to play there.
He's on a villain arc mission, huh?
Ooh, wow.
Well, guess who subscribes to the anti-Will Howard deep state, ladies and gentlemen? Abdul Carter coming for him all day Saturday. Abdul Carter, game of his life. Will Howard on his back, 4 quarters. Give me Penn State 24-21. Nittany Lions roll.
I heard Abdul Carter's going to be coming for him. Will Howard's going to be on his back for 4 quarters.
Yeah, I almost said coming for that ass.
What kind of game are you going to watch, man?
I'm going to watch Abdul Carter get after that anti-Will Howard deep state. That's what I'm going to watch.
Okay.
What you got, Jay Will?
Will Howard's a bum.
Oh.
So says the chat. That's not my words. Those are the chats.
Wow.
We preach consistency around here. I've got to remain consistent in my take. I don't think Penn State is going to win this game. I think that for the longest time. And these are the games and the reasons why every single year when we come into a football season and people want to pump up that Nittany Lion hype, it's James Franklin doesn't win these games. James Franklin is going to win the rest of his slate, but when it comes to Ohio State or Michigan, he can't do it. He
Jay
can't
Will,
win
he's
these
due,
games.
baby. He's due.
He's been due since 2017. I mean that's just been the case for him. This is why
It's an
nobody
elongated pregnancy. Don't worry about it.
this is why nobody believes in Penn State, and it's why it continues to be a prove it and I'll start believing. Like if you go out there and win this weekend, I'll finally stamp a flag with Penn State and I'll say, all right, you finally proved it to me. I'll start putting you in this elite category of a contenders list. But for now, I'm fading James Franklin. I'm fading Penn State. I'm taking Ohio State in this football game. Ohio State 27-20.
Here's the deal. If Penn State wins this football game, you're trading out that dope-ass quarter zip from our friends over at Universities Forever, and you're wearing a white T-shirt that says, I believe in Will Howard.
I mean, it's not the worst thing I'd have to wear, I guess, but
Shout out. We've seen this story hundreds of times, every time where, hey, Ohio State didn't look great in their week before game. Penn State, this could be the one. It's a sneaky game for them. Here we go. This is the one where Ohio State's going to get got. And it always results in something very similar where it's apparent that Ohio State is a more talented team. James Franklin just does not win these types of games. And to Jay Will's point, until Penn State can come out here and handle business and actually prove them right, I'm not going to let my disdain for a quarterback or my emotions make my decision for me. Ohio State wins this game. Ohio State handles Penn State. It's until it doesn't happen. We have unless it doesn't happen. Until it doesn't happen, Ohio State's going to handle Penn State.
Okay. Just a couple Will Howard believers over here.
I didn't say I believe in Will Howard.
I've said multiple times. I think Will Howard is fine.
I believe in Ryan Day more than I do James Franklin.
I'm upset with Will Howard for what he did in the Oregon game. We talked about that.
Is that insane to you?
It's the lesser of two evils, I guess.
I mean,
you don't trust either of those football coaches.
I mean, we've said it before. Ryan Day's a field goal away from winning a national title. What's the closest James Franklin's been? Week 1 when everybody's 0-0?
Shit, I thought he got snubbed that year at Vandy.
No,
if the 14 playoff had been in the mix,
Penn State
Vandy's making a run.
playoff, he's already got a playoff appearance. Vandy's making a damn deep run.
Penn State finished 6th in 2016, I believe. So
they were close that year. I do remember that. They had a few close calls.
So until they do it, I'm not buying it. Even if, you can hate on one guy specifically, but the rest of the team is better.
Georgia versus Alabama rematch tomorrow. Who you picking?
Oh gosh, why are you spurring this on me right now?
Because I'm baiting you right now.
That's a tough one.
Who you picking?
I'll go Georgia because the coach is different.
Well, they ain't done it.
Where's it
They
played
ain't
at?
done it. Do it until they do it.
Where
Pick 'em
has
until
it-
they do it?
Where's it being played at?
Don't matter.
I think it does matter.
Nah.
I'll still
I
go
think
Georgia.
100% matters.
Buddy, you ain't beat Alabama in a cornfield in the last 5 years, except for the national championship.
Except the,
Thank you.
Except that
Thank
one
you.
time.
The big football
Thank you.
game.
Except that one time
Look,
in
man,
Indy.
I'm just trying to take the other stance here. Give me a break.
Look, now you got people call me J. Will Howard. Look what you're doing to me.
Jay Will Howard, that's good.
Hey, the deep state runs strong now. Deep state runs strong.
Man.
I'm putting a hex on him. Abdul Carter, 3 sacks. Come on.
All right.
All right.
Ideal bracket?
Let's do it.
All right, here's how this is going. This is our ideal bracket, okay? So I'm just going to let you know, Notre Dame, you can F yourself. You cheated on your life on national television, took an L at home against Northern Illinois, and you play a dog poopy schedule. I'm not letting you walk into the college football playoff just because Florida State sucks and it was your only good out-of-conference game, even though you're not in a conference. I'm out on Notre Dame, been out on Notre Dame since Northern Illinois. It's my ideal schedule and my ideal bracket, so here's how it's going to go. Number 1 overall, 13-0 Oregon. Number 2, a 12-1 Georgia. Number 3, a 13-0 Miami. Number 4, come on, Colorado. Queen sweep the rest of your schedule. Get through into that Big 12 championship game and win out 11-2. Number 5, I got Texas A&M at 11-2. Number 6, give me a 10-2 Ohio State. That means they lost the rematch against Oregon in the Big 10 championship game. Number 7, give me Texas, a little 10-2-ish. That means they lost to A&M. A&M was my 5 seed. I already told you that. Number 8, Tennessee, 10-2. That means they went out and only lose to Georgia. Okay. Number 9, Clemson, 10-2. That means they went out and only lose to Miami in an ACC championship game. Number 10, I've got Bama. That means they went out and beat LSU. LSU, sorry, you're going home. Number 11, give me BYU, Notre Dame, go just somewhere else. Number 12, Boise.
Love it. I
All
love
right.
it.
Did you fill out after that? Or?
No, just ideal bracket.
Yeah, I just gave the 12 seeds as well.
We'd be here all night.
I went the whole way.
Oh, okay. My number 1 seed, I have Georgia. I think they're going to win out. I have them winning the SEC championship right now. I think they're going to get past the regular season matchup. So I have them as the number 1 seed. I have Ohio State winning the rematch against Oregon. They're my number 2 seed. Number 3, I have Clemson. I've been saying that I think Clemson is going to play Miami in the conference championship game. I would take Clemson today, next week, 2 weeks from now, a month from now. I will take them over Miami. So I have Clemson as my number 3 seed. I have BYU as my Big 12 representative sitting at number 4.
yeah.
Oregon is my number 5 seed after having their only loss to Ohio State in the conference championship game to Ohio State. So I have them at number 5. Texas, you're sitting at number 6. Miami's number 7 after losing to Clemson in the conference championship.
Bums.
Penn State, you sneak in here. I have you as a number 8 seed. I have you playing in it. Number 9 is Texas A&M. Number 10, it is Notre Dame. I have them. I had a hard time. Look, I'm sorry. I just think that, and I also kind of did this too off of what the first round matchups would be. So I did have Notre Dame in the cut. Tennessee is sitting at number 11 with their only loss being to Georgia down the stretch. And then Boise State sitting at number 12. For reference, one of the matchups would be Tennessee versus Texas in the first round. You're going to find out who the real UT is. That's what I want to see in the playoff.
No Colorado for you? It's ideal, man.
It would be
Ideally,
fun.
we're
Playoff would
talking
be
about
fun.
Colorado into January. That'd be
Playoff
ideal.
Colorado would be
Oh, it'd be a
pretty-
ratings
pretty
bonanza.
sick.
It'd be a ratings bonanza. The hate watching going on right there would be nuts.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got for me, Kirby?
All right, seed number 1, I have the Oregon Ducks. I think what they've shown you this year, they are one of the top teams. I have them winning out, winning the Big Ten once again, being number 1. Seed number 2, Texas A&M. SEC champions, beat all the other teams, only 1 loss to Notre Dame. Seed number 3, I don't want Canes. I don't want Clemson. Give me SMU winning out, winning the ideal bracket.
According to the ESPN FBI, a 6.9% chance to win the ACC does SMU.
Hey, give me that 6.9.
Hell yeah.
Go ahead
Don't
and
ever
clip
bring
that.
up the FPI ever again.
Go ahead and clip that non-context, guy.
Anti-FPI?
Big time.
Seed number 4,
Fugazi.
the Big 12
Okay.
champions, the Colorado Buffaloes. Seed number 5, the 11-1 Georgia Bulldogs. Emphasis on 11-1. Seed number 6, give me Texas. Texas has only lost to Georgia and A&M at this point. Seed number 7, Ohio State. Ohio State probably loses to Oregon once again. Seed number 8, LSU. Seed number 9, Penn State. Told you they were going to get in there. Seed number 10, give me BYU. Seed 11, Tennessee. After losing to Georgia, they're
This is like 8 SEC schools?
No, it's I think it's 5.
Okay.
C12 Boise State. Shout out to Ashton Genty.
Mm.
You said why leave the FPI at the door? Because of this stuff right here. Every single week I get the graphic of here's the top 25 from ESPN's FPI. Texas number 1, Ohio State number 2, Alabama number 3, Georgia number 4, Notre Dame number 5, Tennessee sitting at number 6, Ole Miss number 7, Oregon number 8.
Sure you're not reading the Pate poll?
This is the college football top 25 ESPN FPI. It does kind of match up, though, with that one that you're talking about. Florida is number 23.
Shout out. Billy
Leave it
Napier.
at the daggum
Congrats
door.
on saving the job. Made it to 23.
Not having it.
I mean, it's a model.
I understand. It
It's got
has all these
computers
pretty
and
numbers
stuff
and blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Leave it at the door.
Neutral field and stuff.
Cool, man.
Not here for it.
Nah, man, I'm not.
Nah, man, I'm not. One thing I learned doing this exercise, and I think I'm going to tell you right now, there is going to be so much finagling going on in that rankings room. And I think it's going to be hilarious to watch, dipshit of the year, whoever they, nominate to come take a lashing from those ESPN producers and all that, sit there and answer questions and, explain their decisions. I can't wait for them to try to explain how they moved all these conference or teams around in rankings to avoid conference rematching, because it's impossible. It's impossible to do it. When I did it today, I'm sitting here trying to dink and dunk everybody around to try to avoid rematches. And the next thing I know, I got Texas, Bama, and Georgia on one corner of the bracket.
Too bad.
It's going to be too bad?
That's what's going to happen, man.
I mean, we are going to get our first edition of the rankings next week. And I think that's going to be a big deal. I know that we say that people want to say the first week of the rankings don't matter. We last year, we were one of the few shows, I think, that were like, every single week these rankings matter because they're telling you, they're forecasting what exactly is going to happen if certain things play out. And that held true. When those rankings came out, Florida State, you got bumped out, kicked out the door, kicked out the club. And I think that that was kind of showing every single week when slowly you were creeping back in those rankings. So especially this next week.
And every single week when the dipshit of the year nominee comes up and talks to us on national television, every single week we get to see how just inconsistent he is every single week. He or she. We may get Condoleezza Rice up there again.
Yeah.
So you never know.
One of the craziest fun facts of college football.
Condoleezza
Rice was on the first playoff committee.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Is that one of the craziest?
It was to me. When you told me that, I was like, holy shit, really?
That was news to you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All right, news to a lot of people. By the way, A&M fans showed up in droves. I think we had 500 new subscribers on that one singular video this week of that Texas A&M LSU breakdown. Now, I'm not going to say that's all A&M fans. I think there were some LSU guys sprinkled in there, but most of y'all watch that stuff when you win. Most of y'all don't come to find out why you lost, even though I've never quite understood that. I would, if I were a football fan seeking knowledge as to why something happened, I would be running to our channel when we lost, because I'd be figuring out, why am I mad? What do I need to be mad about? You know what I mean? I'd be looking for those answers. But nonetheless, Marcel Reed versus Connor Wigman is a discussion point out there in the Texas A&M circles. And I, for the life of me, can't figure out why it's not just already Marcel Reed and they haven't announced it. And I can understand why. When you're a football coach in Mike Elko's position, you want to hold your cards close to the vest. I got a quote for you. I was asked about it today. Yeah, I think the possibility is there for a lot of things, Elko told reporters. I think we're going to look at this week, figure out what we think the right thing is for us, what we think gives us the best chance to win moving forward. It's probably too early in our minds to make that decision. Even if we did, we probably wouldn't tell you right now anyway. But no, I think we just want to see how this week plays out, see what we think gives us the best shot to go into this environment and be successful, and then go forward from there. Do you read anything out of that?
No.
There's one statement there that makes me kind of interested, or makes me interested.
What's that?
Best shot to go into this environment.
So that tells me you're leaning more experienced people. That like the more experienced guy, in my opinion.
It could also be you're just kind of dropping inklings to say, oh, well, maybe he's leaning this way.
Where's the Marcel Reed inkling then?
Well, that I was going to say is, but also maybe
the Marcel Reed inkling is that what he did against LSU
he balled.
And the fact that your offense got exponentially better and everyone else is saying, hey, Marcel Reed's going to be the guy from here.
Or maybe you could also spin it into going into South Carolina's environment of they create a lot of havoc. Maybe we want a guy that can bail us out of havoc, and that's going to be Marcel Reed.
All right, so let's play a game here. For the life of me, I can only come up with 2 reasons as why Connor Weigman should be the starter at Texas A&M.
Okay.
All right, 1, he must be doing something in practice to make this even a debate. All right, he must be doing some crazy shit in practice. And by the way, he's 6'3.5", 6'4", 225 pounds, can make every throw. I'm sure he does look great in practice. The other thing, investment. Whether it be time or money, somebody's on the hook for Connor Weigman's stock out there at A&M. Mm-hmm. Now, you would think it'd be Jimbo Fisher. You'd think it'd be Rick Pitino. You don't think it would be Bobby Petrino. You'd think it'd be him. I always get those two mixed up. You think it'd be those guys, not the head coach and the offensive coordinator that just got there in January, but somebody probably has some type of tie to Connor Weigman that's making them have some type of responsibility or feel the need to play him.
Yeah. I mean, I could easily see that.
Because the performance is not there.
No, I mean, but I also said, like, it is conflicting a little bit because you've had both sides of the coin throughout this season where Marcel Reed is the one that comes in, and he's the one lighting it on fire, and you have great success with him. And then there's also been instances where Connor Weigman is the one that's bringing great success to your offense, and he's the one that's being consistent. So now you've kind of put yourself in this situation where you have conflicting talking points for both of these quarterbacks. So I don't know what the solution is. I know how I feel. I would play Marcel Reed at this point. I just think that he's been the one that provides a spark to your offense, and I think that's kind of what you're going to need this weekend. And you're certainly more explosive, and that's kind of been a key talking point of college football this year.
Yeah, I agree. I can't really think of another reason that would be why you start Weigman over Reed. Other than what you're saying, money talks. Obviously, boosters unfortunately do have some say in what goes on in the program now just because of the check. I think that you go with Marcel Reed here. I do think you also somewhat keep him on a short leash with the idea of, hey, if things start even looking a little bit astray, we can immediately switch it up and see how that works. That can sometimes pay off, that sometimes doesn't. Thus far for you the entire season, it's paid off because every time you've made the switch, the guy that's come in has excelled. So I think that might just be how you kind of operate right now, where we'll go with this guy, but if we need the spark quickly, we'll turn to him and see where that takes off.
We had some mic feedback. That's on us, guys. Hopefully that's fixed. All right, we're all on the Marcel Reed train. I think everyone else is, except for maybe Mike Elko.
Yeah,
interesting.
In public, Mike Elko's not on the Marcel Reed train for sure.
Correct. All right, who's on upset alert this weekend, guys? I'm going to start right here. I feel as if the Miami Hurricanes are always on upset alert based off how they're playing this year.
No, don't do it, please.
I definitely feel as if they are. No. But they're really on upset alert against Duke. Fun fact, did you know that the Fighting Dukies have won 3 out of the last 5 in this series between these two football teams?
Oh, no.
Mike Elko effect.
Mike Elko effect. Also, I don't know if you guys know this, but it's a revenge game. You know who the head coach of Duke is? Head coach Duke is one Manny Diaz. All right, going back home. He's a Miami guy, Coral Gables guy. Got fired by Miami.
Did him dirty.
I don't know if they did him
No, they didn't do him dirty.
Manny Diaz going home to reclaim stake of the turnover chain, huh?
Oh, no, you're supposed to talk about
he
how
invented
good
it.
They are.
He invented it. Or did Mark Richt? Who cares? Manny Diaz revenge game. Come on, Miami. Get upset right quick.
Well, you're supposed to talk about how Cam Ward is unstoppable.
We're going reverse hoax.
No.
We're going to spin it the other way.
I
don't know why I made that look so spicy. We're going to spin it the other way.
Duke's one of my best bets too, man. I really need you to give Miami.
Tough. Who's on upset alert, Kirk?
Ole Miss is going to Fayetteville this week.
Yes, they are.
That's nuts.
Given how they looked against Oklahoma, where it's kind of like, hey, you guys want to play some decent football maybe? Going on the road here to a Sam Pittman team that has been invigorated, hasn't looked great at times, has looked really, really dangerous in others. I think Ole Miss could be on upset alert this week.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Arkansas has already proven they can take off a top team in the conference, especially if you have to go to their home stadium. And that's exactly what happened to Tennessee. That's what Ole Miss has going on right now. It's hard to get a read on Ole Miss right now, not exactly knowing like where the team is at, because they kind of did play a little flat last week, but they also still look like Ole Miss, in my opinion, at least how they have looked this year, where the defense is getting stop signs against the Oklahoma offense that hasn't been able to do anything. But that's going to be the talking point after you play Oklahoma, no matter who you are. But certainly a tough matchup. Taylor Green, Arkansas offense, they've remained a fun offense to tune into and watch. They put up a bunch of points last weekend. I think Ole Miss is certainly on upset alert.
I like it. We don't do a lot of commenting on commenters unless they're super chatters nowadays, but I see one and it gives me an opportunity to try something out. William Lovering says, been watching a while, but rarely can catch the live show. I'm the PA guy in Bainbridge, home of a certified ball knower. That's Kirby Smart. Bad high school season this year, so thanks for distracting me with great analysis. Boys, I want you to try to give me your best third down PA announcer.
Oh, no, man.
Ready?
I'm too camera shy. I can't
All right,
do that.
I'm going to do it.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Third down.
It's pretty good, honestly.
Wow.
It's nice.
It took me right back to an Atlanta Falcons game. That's pretty much exactly how it sounds.
My ears are ringing.
Your wife's probably upstairs like, what the hell is going on?
Definitely.
What are they up to now?
I'm watching that on a replay right now. How'd I do? Seriously.
No, seriously, you did good.
Yeah.
If
I
this
think
fails,
that
you could always
if
be a
I
PA
were-
guy.
I think so.
If I were a PA announcer, I'd be more emphatic on the first downs than I would the third downs. The mic just exploded.
That's on me, guys.
Mine completely blew up.
Am I back now? I think I'm back now. We didn't hear it one bit. I peeked the mic and blacked it out. Damn. Damn.
Guess you gotta do it again from a further distance.
Nah. It was a one shot.
Hey, live
Found the limit,
Live
though.
and in
We
person.
found the limit.
We
live
found
and
it.
in person sounded pretty good.
Yeah.
Damn. I can't wait to go back.
I don't know if mom upstairs appreciated it, but
Yeah.
it was pretty solid.
You're probably gonna be grounded after this.
He's stomping on the floor. You hear it? Shut the hell up down there. K-State at Houston. Houston, sneaky, scrappy football team.
I kind of put my foot in my mouth when I talked about Houston last, so I'll let you cook on that one.
Yeah. Don't be out here messing with the Houston Cougs.
Oh, no, I was saying that they're a good football team. They're not a good football team.
No, they're erratic as
They're-
can be.
Yeah.
Inconsistent, but that's the most dangerous.
Inconsistent, but that's the most dangerous.
You never know what team you're gonna get. You come in expecting, they suck. They lost by
Little
30
mystery
last
bag
week.
football team.
That's right, dude.
By the way, the mystery airhead, the best. Tennessee, they on upset alert against Kentucky. 16.5 points.
I don't know. Kentucky
lot.
doesn't look like how they
No.
did to start the season.
Kentucky is not very good.
You want to talk about an inconsistent football team? That is certainly one of them, especially in the SEC. Like you went from 1 week, we're just going to get dragged by South Carolina, to then, 4-quarter football game against Georgia, who's now in the driver's seat, or what it feels like in a really good spot in the SEC right now. And then you get absolutely boat raced by Florida. I mean, so they're an up and down team. So I guess according to Kirby's analysis of inconsistent football teams are the most dangerous and absolutely potentially on upset alert.
I talked about this a little bit when we were doing predictions, but I think Oregon's on upset alert here. You haven't really had to be in a tough environment this year. Michigan is the perfect team to come in expecting you to have an easy win against and get a dogfight. I don't think that Michigan will win that game, but that is an upset alert game where we come into the third quarter and it's like, hey, or end of the third quarter, it's like, hey, why is Oregon only winning by one score here? So I have them on upset alert.
Interesting line in that Pitt-SMU game. SMU favored in that football game. I believe that's at Pitt as well.
I did put Clemson on my list.
Yes,
I think
Clemson's on the
that,
list.
and
10.5's a lot.
it is a lot of points. And then, as good as Clemson has looked, I think that, especially knowing that this is going to be one of your last games that you really have to show up for, that does almost make me want to not pick this one, because Clemson is surely aware of that as well. You would think of, hey, this is one of our few games where we really got to bring it this weekend. So it makes you want to be a little hesitant on this pick. Especially because they're coming off of a bye week. But also, like I said, Louisville can put up points, and when the team can put up points, you're in danger of potentially being upset that weekend.
We talked about this one as well. Texas A&M going to South Carolina. That is a game where it's got upset written all over. You've got a Texas A&M team that is riding high. Everyone's jumping on the train. You're fresh off of a really, really good-looking win against LSU, and you're going into a South Carolina team that has a dangerous front seven in an environment that is kind of underrated in the SEC.
All right, we got a whole nother hour coming up right now, and it is our best hour. We're finna talk that dog. See you on the other side.
Welcome into Talk the Dog, the show where we find a bone to pick and a take to give. These are not hot takes. These is dog takes. Can I talk that dog?
What's up? You really like that?
Let's shut up and grind some tape.
Oh, are we back?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah, sit down.
I mean, I honestly don't do that. Don't come on, man. I say don't do it. I'm tired of sitting down. I do, you know, I used to do, I'm just kidding. I'm not actually going to stand up.
Oh,
But it does feel comfy. You know, I understand why people have the standing desks.
I was gonna say maybe next one we upgrade it, but that's a lot of wires to move up and down.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I got a
of it.
standing desk over there from a walk pad that I ain't used in a couple months, but don't tell nobody. Tell nobody. Welcome into our local hour. We got a loaded one for you. Kirby Smart had a press conference today. We're going to talk about who's peaking out here on this Georgia football team. Film notes from that Florida offensive breakdown that we gave you this morning here on the channel. We'll be breaking that down for you if you haven't watched it, which most of you, I would assume, already have. Is Georgia on upset alert today? We're going to talk about that, or this weekend we're going to talk a little bit about that. 3 keys to the victory. UGA's chance to do something they've never done in this theory or in this series as well. And Kirby, you have what I would classify as a cockamamie theory going on tonight.
It's not a strong word.
It's not really a theory, honestly.
Allegations.
It's just-
Trepidation and cockamamie getting thrown out around here.
It's more of a hypothetical situation that, honestly, I would prefer.
Should be interesting. Where do we want to start today, boys?
I think it's always good to start with a good old presser note.
We love a good press conference. Kirby's still limping.
Damn, is it getting worse?
So honestly, maybe.
No,
Maybe.
dude.
Might be getting a little worse. It's got to be a pre-existing injury. It's got to be like an ankle. It's lower left extremity
So it's
for
not.
sure.
It's not a hip.
Nah, maybe.
Ooh,
Maybe.
the hips
But
are tough.
Here's the weird thing. It seems to cause problems when he stands still for a certain amount of time. So it doesn't make me think it's a hip. I think it may be an ankle, calf, Achilles, something lower left extremity.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I hate to hear that.
I was
about-
this close today.
to asking him.
I almost did it. I think he had about a 12-minute presser today, and there wasn't a last question. You know, Leland didn't even have to get in there and say, hey, 2 more. You know, 1 more. Didn't even have to do that. It was like, hey, anybody got any more questions for Kirby? And I was like, why are you limping, coach? But didn't do
Chat's
it today.
asking about his cough too.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
a little under the weather.
He is. So that's interesting. No opening statement today. He was about his business. He was about his business. Practice has been good. Monday, they were fresher than normal. Obviously gave them some time off this weekend due to the bye week. Didn't try to overdo it. Guys seemed good, he said. Was asked again about Lagway. Doubled down. Great size, arm strength, pocket mobility, which I followed up on just a couple questions later about pocket mobility and the ability to maintain pockets and just control them, right, as a quarterback. I'm interested, is that something that is kind of ingrained into young quarterbacks? Is that something that they naturally have, or is that something that you can coach up? And his question, as usual, his answer was rather interesting. He said that he finds that guys that are coached up hard on it when they're young, that they're obviously much better at it. If they play in a high school system where it's like, hey, you're just a great athlete, go be a great athlete, that can be a little bit detrimental to the growth in this area in terms of stepping through the pocket. I also thought there was a really interesting quote here. Quote, more air vertical in the pocket. Meaning when you step up vertically in the pocket, there's more room around there for you to actually escape or actually get through and deliver a strike. Whereas if we start to bow around, now we've got to be able to outrun people, and there's not a lot of people that can banana peel their way out of pockets safely nowadays in college football with how much athleticism is on the defensive side of the ball, particularly edge rushers. Was asked about night games. This is obviously a spinoff from the Lane Kiffin quote this week. Said it wasn't much of a difference. Now, I don't know if he said that because he didn't want to provide a quote, but it is what it is. Said from a recruiting standpoint, not a big difference in a 3:30 kick versus 7:30 kick, apart from maybe environment, right? the environment in night games obviously much more intense around the SEC. Was asked about Jordan Hall and Tate Ratledge. Said both of them have ramped up their reps, but Jordan still, quote, has moments where it bothers him. Talking about that shin issue that he had on his right leg, and now he's having it on his left leg, and it sounds like he is coming back, but still has, like I said, those moments where it's bothering him. When asked about Tate again, he said Tate very clearly has ramped up the production, but obviously wants to play in this football game, and I think that's a key indicator potentially for the return there. Was asked about Trevor Etienne in the passing game. Says he catches it well out of the backfield, and said all of his backs catch it well out of the backfield. Do they?
Maybe they are now. We're just only seeing it from Trevor.
I mean, to be fair, there's only really like 3 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, we know Cash does.
Cash
we know
does.
Trevor does.
Trevor does now. You have to assume that he's saying Nate Fraser's
Maybe
gotten
Nate
better at
is
it.
getting better at it now. We just haven't seen it.
Maybe. Talked about how, like, obviously Etienne can win one-on-ones when matched up in man coverage against linebackers, but he's really dangerous when you check it down to him against zone, because now guys got to close space and try to tackle this guy. And you saw against Texas, it's a really hard thing to do for anybody, particularly when you're coming from space. Impact on the team when toughness is shown was a question. This was asked about Michael and guys playing through injury when they obviously have a lot at stake. Tate and Michael being the 2 examples. He connoted, or he had at least acknowledged that Michael is obviously in a bag year, right? This is obviously a draftable year for Michael. Everyone kind of assumes that he's going into the NFL draft this year and going to be a presumed first-round draft pick. And he mentioned it, right? He's still got a lot at stake, is what he said with regards to playing with injury right now. I was asked about Branson and Smile, and I want to take the moment right here to let you know that it has never been harder to get injury information, ever. And I know they implemented this injury report, and it was supposed to provide clarity. I think it's, if anything, it's provided more gray area than ever before, because now he can basically just no comment, and he can say it'll come out on Wednesday's injury report, which Wednesday's injury report says Smile Mondon doubtful. Questionable, doubtful, whatever. Doesn't say what he's dealing with. Doesn't say the timetable for his return either.
And 2, like, if you have someone on the injury report, but you have, like, conflicting information coming from sources, and then that's being reported as well, you might get yourself in some trouble for maybe falsifying information on your own injury report. So I think you have to be even tighter-lipped about it, too, to protect your own self of what you're reporting out as public information.
Yeah, you don't want to be saying something on Tuesday that comes out to be incorrect on Friday when there's an update to the injury report. But we know it's a foot or some type of lower body thing with Smile. We know it's a turf toe thing that had surgery on Rod. We know it's tightrope ankle surgery with Tate. So there's certain things that we know because we went out and did the reporting on it. But it's not that the SEC injury report has given us any indication of this. So, and the toughest thing I feel like for fans that ask these questions to reporters like us is like, on this injury report, it just connotes that they're injured. It does not say any type of timetable for return on these guys. So, and with the injury report coming out every week, I'm going to tell you right now, sources are tighter-lipped on this stuff than ever before. So it's just, I think it's created more gray area than it has clarity on these types of situations. Did say he has a cough and said he feels fine, though. It's just a throat deal. Trevor Etienne's family was asked about them and whether or not he's had an opportunity to get to know them, and did say that, having the transfer portal process is not as intimate. He didn't use that word, but not as intimate with the parents as much as it is a business decision at that point for those individuals. He didn't reference Trevor specifically, but said most of these situations when transfer portal guys are coming in and talking to them, it is player to coach, and it is very much so, a business transaction. I've got a year left. I've got 2 years left. I want this to get done. I want to go to this school for these reasons, and it is very much so a business moment there. KJ Bolden was asked about him. Says he's been great, really confident in his checks. That's something that's important for a young freshman. Also, a guy that said came into Georgia with a very, very high level of football IQ because of where he came from, obviously Buford High School, but said that there's very few freshmen that have picked up the defensive playbook as cleanly as KJ has. So that's obviously something to connote. I love when I hear about football intelligence.
Makes sense as to why he's on the field the most.
100%. Also said they've had a tough time trying to keep his weight up, which you'd expect.
Also makes sense.
Absolutely. Asked about the second bye week, said he doesn't look at it as much as a freshman deal as he does as like they work on the full football team. Now, I've listened to Kirby Smart press conferences for 5 years now, and every year he feels like he's dealing with more injuries than ever before. So when he says that, I'm going to tell you right now, Kirby, you're not. Like, you've been way more banged up in years prior. Like, you're a relatively healthy football team.
This time last year, you were definitely more banged up, if I remember correctly.
I mean, there's been years where the injury report's 14 deep.
Yeah.
Like, you got 5 guys on the list right now. And, yeah, Jared Wilson has been banged up and has returned back to the roster. And Tate Rowledge has been banged up and will eventually return back to the roster. And yeah, you have dealt with Joseph Jonah now being out for the year. And there has been certain things, but, like, you're not dealing with a massive onslaught of injuries, in my opinion. Doubled down on the who are we playing response when asked about the run game. Who are we playing? What are they doing to us? And I think that's something that we've talked about on this network. You are a pro-style football team. That's what you do. So pro-style offenses, every week, they come out, they have a game plan. The game plan is great as long as the defense is doing what we thought they were going to do when we planned for them. If we come out and they're doing something different, well, now we have to adjust. We don't just go out and run our schemes, and our schemes work against everybody because we're a spread team that just likes to play with space and pace. That's not what you guys do. You guys are pro-style, and we've talked about that here on this network. Any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
I mean, it's one of those things now where you talk about the pressures are getting more and more vague as the year goes on, and it's kind of a result of, one, Kirby Smart has always been vague in these situations, especially when it comes to rivalry games where there's a lot of storylines being thrown around. So I don't think there's any big stories to take away from it.
Yeah, no.
Nothing?
No.
All right.
Pretty clean cut and dry.
All right, let's do who's peaking right now so I can take a slight break and pass it to you guys.
Okay. Did we talk about
how we're doing this?
No, the other injury.
Joseph Jonah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
He mentioned it.
He's
Yeah.
out for the year. Lower extremity. Had surgery. Don't know what it is. Again, completely vague. Completely vague. Again, I understand you're putting the onus on the reporters, but you're kind of taking it out of our hands with your injury report as well. So it's a tough area right now to be in.
How big of a blow is that to the D-line? How big of a blow is that to your D-line?
I mean, he was playing meaningful reps.
Right.
But at a spot that was, I believe his playing time was only because Michael was limited. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like you're back in a situation where your defensive end room right now is looking like Michael, Tyrann Dawkins, and Gabe Harris. I don't know how many reps Joseph Jonah was getting when all three of those guys are healthy anyways.
Do you think I'm the first person to cover breaking news on a childhood swing set?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
You need to provide context to this right now.
No, you don't.
Showed up to the studio today on time like I usually do. Knew Brooks was going to be at Pressers. Studio door was locked. And I mean, as soon as I found out the door was locked, found out, hey, breaking news, we need this covered. So I texted back and said, I will be writing this on the swing set outside. And then your wife was like, Jonathan's on the swing set outside, not sure what he's doing, but I got my job done.
Door was locked and you got the job done.
Yeah. Wi-Fi strong on the swing set.
I'm saying, that's the first thing I thought was like, damn, well, that Wi-Fi extender's kind of working.
Oh, yeah. It was clean. No problems. No buffering. Good spot.
Maybe we ought to make you work there during the day.
Your neighbors might have been a little concerned.
They always
What the hell
are.
is that grown man?
Yeah,
They thought for the longest time we were growing weed in here.
Oh, because we're
Because
coming
of,
in and out.
because of the white lights always on at night. Like,
I figured they were
who
saying,
would
like,
have that bright of a basement?
These two dudes are leaving his house every night at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, they thought we were trapping out here.
Nope. Just
The
a
neighbors
YouTube show.
indeed thought I was selling dope. Mother effer, I am.
Shout out J. Cole.
Shout out J. Cole.
Who do you think is peaking, Kirby?
So it's kind of weird because there's a couple of guys that clearly played their best game last week against Texas. Dalen Everett's one of them, but it's also one of those things of when is it a definition of peaking finally? Is it one game? Is it multiple games? Because Dalen Everett certainly played his best game last week. Can he do it again? Is what you saw beforehand, is it safe to say he's peaking right now? And I think also on the adverse of this, it's very hard to pick out anyone in particular who's peaking on the offensive side.
Oh, no, you can't. I tried. I literally wrote down Mike Bobo ?
Mike Bobo has been calling some bangers of games. I'll give him that.
I don't know if anybody, like, my initial thought was Dylan Fairchild. But
Yeah.
Fairchild had a down game against Auburn. I would argue he didn't play great against Texas, but he played okay against Texas. I don't know who I would answer with right now in terms of offensive peaking.
I said Trevor Etienne.
Okay.
He's on pace to have more rushing yards than he ever has in his career. He's going to shatter, it looks like, his career rushing yard mark for a single season. So from a career standpoint, Etienne is certainly having the best year of his career. But that was also kind of expected. That's one of the reasons why he wanted to come to Georgia. He said, I want to play for a winning program. But also, he was the number 2 back at Florida. He was not the main guy. He was not the starter, whereas here he is. But even then, like, Georgia is not running the football at a high rate compared to other programs, but he is certainly getting the job done. I think he's been the most consistent player on offense this year. He's making the most plays on offense this year. So I have Trevor Etienne as he is peaking right now.
Jalen Walker's peaking this season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is Dan Jackson.
Is he peaking more than any other player in college
he's
football right
peaking
now?
hard.
I mean, everybody's talking about Jalen Walker.
Everyone. What position does he play in the league?
Whatever you can play him at, I guess.
They're trying to say he's Micah Parsons, but I don't know.
Chat's giving Jurasic some love.
He did have a better game. He
was in the Waller, and now he's on the uptick.
It certainly feels like he's starting to pick up on things, and he's coming along now. I would agree with that.
Kristen Miller's been playing really, really solid all year long. I wouldn't call that a peak.
But it's been just
steady growth.
Correct.
Has been the last, I'd say, 18 months of that dude's career.
Oh, yeah.
I put Jonell Aguero.
I like this.
I think that this is based on what he's done the last few weeks, I feel like number 8. And at the beginning of the season, it was kind of like no one's really talking about Jonell. Hasn't really felt like he's made that big of an impact yet. But also in the inverse, you're like a defensive back, you're not talking about him. That might be a good thing. It means he's doing his job. But now it feels like he's been on every single play. Number 8's flying all over the field. He's making plays, and he's doing all the right things. Now he's flashing. And that's what you kind of hoped for and expected from the guy that was rated as the number 2 safety in his class. So I think Jonell Aguero is certainly peaking right now.
I don't know if this is...
Hold on. I got to call some folks out. We're in the midst of the greatest hour of Georgia football-related content on the internet right now, and I got my Discord popping the hell off. What are y'all doing? I love patreon.com/Brooks Austin. I love that. I love that we're in the Discord. But get your asses over here into the live chat.
They don't know they're exposing themselves right now?
I'm saying.
Man.
I mean, you can't do 2 things at once.
You can.
Can you? Can you text in 2 live chats at the same time?
Yes.
I don't think so.
You got a TV and you got an iPad. And
I love it. No complacency around here.
0.
That's right.
It's not accepted.
Complacency gets you beat. That's what it'll do.
Mm-hmm.
One day. We are one show away from humbling around here. You know what I mean?
I almost...
You're one show away in this conference.
What would be a humbling for us?
I don't know. Show up and only 200 people are watching. That would feel weird.
Yeah, that'd be sad.
You know?
I almost wanted to put Raylan Wilson on this list, but I think there's quite a few of guys that fit into this category with Raylan. You had a really good game against Texas. Do it again, and then I'll say that you're peaking right now. If Raylan Wilson plays the way that he did against Texas for the rest of the year, he is certainly on this list of players that are peaking and playing really good football. Did you say CJ? Is that who you mentioned when I said that?
No, I said same with Dalen.
Oh, yes. Dalen Everett, same thing. Like, if you continue to play the way you did against Texas, you're forcing turnovers and you're wreaking havoc in the secondary, you're absolutely on this list. So I think that there's multiple people that fit in that mix.
All right. Let's do it. Let's do Florida film notes. You want to?
Let's hear them.
All right. Running backs, both of them. 24 and number 13, Jaden Ball.
Were they down their starter last week too?
Potentially. I don't. If those are the 2 and 3, I can't imagine what the 1 looks like.
We actually did have a super sub that was on the national hour. It was about the local hour. It was with all the. I don't remember who asked it, but it was with all the safeties being out. Could we see Jake Pope this week?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I see that from PMC Jordan with the 2 safeties out the first half this week. Any chance we have a Jake Pope sighting? Love the show and the content you and the boys grind all week. Absolutely. Appreciate you, PMC Jordan. Well, he's the 2 right now, you would imagine, behind Ja'Cory Thomas. All right. And I would imagine he's cross-trained at Star, maybe.
He's experienced enough,
Right? At least in the system.
Yeah.
Okay. You would imagine it's very similar terminologies between what Alabama was doing at the Star and the nickel.
Has
and what
familiarity
Georgia
with
does.
T-Rob as well.
Correct.
Yeah, Montrell Johnson did not play.
Okay. I mean, they're as deep as any team in the country at running back then, and really, really
Yeah, Billy
talented
Napier
deep.
said that during his press conference this week when he's asked about Trevor. He's like, I've been super pleased with what we have this year. He said, I think that we have a
Good
great
God.
room, and our guys have more than delivered what they've been asked to do.
I also think he does a good job as a coordinator of designing really, really good run schemes, and not just like innovative plays. You're not reinventing the run scheme nowadays in 2024 college football. Like everyone, except for the new wide zone motion cheat that people are running nowadays since the Falcons started doing it. Like there's no real innovation going on right now in the run game. The key in designing good run schemes, in my opinion, is making sure you're running into the right surface every single time, right? If we're running inside zone over here, are we making sure we're designing it to the right bubble, right? Do you have Epic Pen ready?
We do not, but I can pull it up for
All
you.
right. So running into boxes is all about making sure you're running into the right void or the right bubble defensively. And I think Florida does this as well as anybody in the country. And we'll talk about that when we get it up ready to the on the board. They run to the voids. All right. And their offensive line, in my opinion, is really well coached, and they're playing really good football right about now. Are we good over there?
Yep.
All right, so let's take this to the board. What am I talking about when I'm saying running to good voids? All right, well, first and foremost, Florida loves to get into bunches with two tight ends, okay? So they're going to put a tight end on the ball, and they're going to have an H attached. Now, they might motion this H. It doesn't really matter. Nonetheless, he's lined up right here. And most defenses, out of the pistol, by the way, most defenses will play some type of 50 defense against this, right? They'll put a nose here. They'll put 2-3 techs, and then they'll play wide nines, all right, with a Mike and a Will in the box, all right? That's normally the surface, all right? Now, defensively, yes, correct. We have voids in our defense right here. So as an offense, how can we attack those particular voids, right? The natural bubbles that are created in the defensive alignment. I think Florida does a really, really good job, and it sounds simple, but it requires game planning of running into these naturally created voids based on how the defense aligns, okay? I don't often see them running into heavy counts or running into bad boxes or having improper alignments, okay? I feel like as if they do really good things in the run game, they make it easier on their backs by basic alignment. They are a bunch pistol football team. You saw this on tape as well, just what I showed up there on that board. They get into bunch pistol for two reasons. They're either running the football right at your face, okay, or they're play action to take it over your head. That's it. There is no, if you see them in a bunch set out of pistol, understand something right now. There's no quick game involved. They're not throwing a 5-yard slant. If they're throwing the ball, it's off play action, and it's an attempt at a 45-yard bomb. End of story, okay? So get ready for that on Saturday. The craziest thing to me about this football team right about now, after doing what I did this morning, is if you just watch the offense and only the offense, if you just watch the coach's copy of the offense from this football team, you think they're a top 25 football team. They run the ball really well. They're explosive as ever loving hell in the passing game right about now. The quarterback's electric and a dual threat. His legs are involved often in the run game. They begin, okay, they've started to begin to limit the amount of total turnovers that they're having offensively right now. They're good on offense. They're really good on offense. They're just losing games in every other avenue you can right now, which, isn't that the point? Isn't that the point that we're making all offseason?
Yeah.
Was that, Billy, like, we know you're going to be one hellified offensive coordinator when you're inevitably fired. But the reason you're probably on the hot seat right now is because you're losing games in every other facet of football. It's certainly not offense. And you know this. You talk about this every time you get up in front of a microphone and people ask you, are you going to hire an offensive coordinator? And you say, well, I don't need to. We're good on offense. Yes, coach. You're really good on offense, but right now you're 60th in yards per play allowed on the defensive side of the football. You're 54th in terms of best run defense. You're 89th in pass defense. You're the 86th overall total defense at the University of Florida. And we know your special teams are a major problem down there. So, like, yeah, if you just watch Florida offense, you think, damn, this is a good football team. Not quite.
And I think that their execution is probably good, and their playing and schemes are good. The results aren't always good. I mean, in their 3 losses, they haven't reached 20 points. So it's like on film, I'm sure it's a very good offense, and there's definitely things there that make you go, oh, that's a problem. But the reality is when they're playing top 10 teams, they're getting stumped. And that's a talent discrepancy, and that's all the above, and it's unfortunate for them because I do think that they have a good scheme and a good head coach, or at least a good coach on the offensive side, but it's not like this is an offensive juggernaut that's being hindered by a bad defense.
And I will say too, like against Kentucky, now they are having a lot of success on the ground, and so that certainly plays a role in this. But you only threw it 14 times, so I would say that there's still maybe some. And you were mentioning it too, especially when they got in the red zone. Like, there's still not that trust in DJ just yet of him as a decision maker. And I think that kind of played a role too throughout the football game of, okay, good, we're going to be able to rely on the run game today. We're going to be able to pound the rock, and we're going to coast that to a big victory, and that's what you're able to do. But when it comes to playing teams, and this has shown up in all of the ranked games that they played of, if we can't get the run game going, I don't know how we fare against anybody.
It's going to be a tough assignment to run the football successfully against Georgia for anybody.
It is.
I think they can at least manage some type of honesty and balance in this football game. If you're dropping Lagway back 45 times, you're in trouble. But that's everybody facing Georgia, in my opinion. If you can't establish the run, you're in deep shit. All right, which transitions us into the next segment. I'm not putting Georgia on upset alert, but here's what I do want to say about Florida. I think Florida is so explosive right now with DJ Lagway at the quarterback position that you can't walk into any football game just assuming that they're going to lose. I think, and that's anybody. They could play anybody in the country right now. And I think there is a version of that football game that leads to Florida out-explosiving their way into a win and winning 42-38 or some crazy type of shootout. Their offense at times can match that type of explosivity. I see two ways this football game goes, boys. I see, first of all, Georgia's ability to just move the football at will. I think that's going to happen on Saturday. I think whenever Georgia wants and needs to move the football, they're going to do that, okay? So I think Georgia either blows them out like 42 to some type of 14, 21 type of score because Lagway looks like a freshman and they make him look like a freshman after eliminating the run game, or this football game looks like some type of version of that Mississippi State game where, yeah, your offense can move it at will, but your defense looks a little suspect today and you're going to be in a fourth quarter football game. Those are the only two routes I see this game going, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And that's typically how this game has gone, regardless of whatever team looks like on either side of the football. It's either one team's just putting the pedal to the metal and they're pounding you, and it's a blowout, and then the other side of it is it's a one-score football game. It's a close one. You can make that face all you want, but that's the truth. That's honesty. That's rivalry football, baby.
A lot of pounding.
Somebody's going to get pounded.
What happened to Diddy counter?
Yeah. What happened to Diddy counter?
You're over here cooking on that pre-show.
I have it. Did I not send it to you?
No.
Damn.
Man. Can we do that pre-show or mid-show?
I don't know.
Is that possible? You don't know?
I don't think so.
Well, we will have it tomorrow for sure. It's done.
We'll definitely tweet it out after the show. Either way. We haven't tweeted a Diddy counter in a fat minute.
This is a good one.
Honestly, it kind of scares me with TV executives following me. Do we really want to hire this guy? He be talking about dudes coming.
We're just talking about football.
Yeah,
it's
just
all
football.
football. It's all out of context.
It's all out of context ball. That's it. It's fair. Where were we at?
You were saying...
Oh, upset. You guys saying no?
Look, the way this season's gone for every single team, you can't come in saying, there's no upset alert here. Mm-hmm. The reality is that this is a rivalry game. This is a coach in Billy Napier who we still think is coaching for his job. You are a Georgia team that kind of has everything to lose. You're coming off of a very big win, including a bye week. The writings are there that if this does end up being an upset, you could point to things and reasons and say, okay, I could see what caused this. And Florida is a talented enough team. They're an SEC team. The reality is that Kirby Smart teams don't usually trip in these. There's been one instance in the 9 years that he's been a head coach here where they tripped up, and it was because the offense laid an absolute egg. I don't see that happening here on Saturday, even if it is close for a first half. It's usually been that way. Mm-hmm. Florida scored first last year. It was close in the early minutes of the first quarter in 22. It was a one-score game in 21 before you had that 21-point explosion. So, I mean, I could very well see this being, hey, we're midway through the third quarter or first quarter or second half here, and it's still not really looking like Georgia's taking over the game. But in reality, I think by the time the fourth quarter comes here, this game will be in for the most part, I expect it to be in hand.
Our man Jay Patel says funds for an Apple Pencil for the new setup. Went from true beginner to ball knower thanks to you guys. Still got a lot to learn though. Love the show. Appreciate you, Jay Patel. I have a first generation iPad.
Nice.
Do they take Apple Pencils?
I have no idea.
They take first generation Apple Pencils. I mean, they're Bluetooth, so it should work.
Okay. We'll give it a shot. I also noticed that where my finger was going on the iPad, it wasn't 100% matched up on the film, if you noticed that as well. But, man, what a neat new setup we got going on.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
We're moving up in the world.
We are. We are certainly moving up in the
About
world.
to get a first generation Apple Pencil. Sick.
I mean, it was a free iPad.
No, I know.
From
I'm
my previous employer.
just being sarcastic.
Standing desks, maybe, on
Standing
the incoming.
desk, dude. About to make my job so hard. I'm going to have to be moving that camera up and down while you... Yeah, that.
3 keys?
Let's do it.
Let's go. 3 keys to the win. Who wants to go first? I'll do it. Number 3. Now we're going to go 1 to 3 because 3's a build.
Ooh.
3's a build.
All right.
Number 1, stay covered longer. This is actually something I talked to Malachi Starks about today. Hey, this guy's ability to extend plays is one thing. This guy's ability to extend plays and then make 40, 50-yard throws down the field, it's very, very important this weekend that not only do you stay covered, but you stay covered longer. I think the terminology Malachi mentioned was the echo of the whistle. That is an old coaching cliche that totally, totally applies to this football game. Number 2, I think it's complementary football. With their ability to be explosive, if and when they do hit those explosives, offensively, you can't come out and go 3 and out, and you can't come out and go one play 75-yard drive. Like, you have to be able, and I do think Georgia will move the football at will. When these moments of swing opportunities happen in this football game, and Georgia has the ball and has a chance to go 10 plays and just crush all momentum, they need to be able to do so. Play complementary football. Number 3, boys, dominate special teams.
What?
Yeah. I think these
He's
offenses,
coming around.
as of right now, these offenses are playing relatively on par football, right? They're both pretty good.
Yeah.
Both at times can show moments of explosivity. Both at times can be a little volatile, turn the football over, right? I think both these offenses right now are playing similar styles in terms of how they're executing, right? Defensively, though, you've got a drastic advantage right now, does Georgia, right? So 3 phases to a football game, even though one doesn't mean as much as the other 2. All right, so if you win the defensive battle and you push the offensive battle, that means all you got to do is win that half a battle with that special teams unit. Major key in this one.
Did you hear that, dude?
I don't believe it.
He went from special teams do not matter at all to
key to victory.
3 facets of this
One of
game.
3.
One doesn't matter.
Well, one of
as much.
2.5.
33% of the reason why you're going to win the football game.
24 1/4.
Okay.
Hey, that's still a percentage, baby. It matters. I'm so proud of you.
You're proud of me, huh?
I'm so proud of you for your growth.
Shout out Kirk Benedict, head coach of special teams unit at Georgia.
He deserves some love.
Big week this week,
Glad you gave him the respect.
even though he almost killed me.
Yeah, I
that
almost
one time.
killed you, but you know what? You're good now. You want me to go
For
next
my
week?
number 1.
Hey, that boy Brooks, give him 3.
For my number 1, I said take out the ability for play action to impact you as a defense, and that plays into what I said. If you can take out Florida's run, that's basically what happened in the Texas game, where you completely shut out their inability to run or their ability to run the football, and your safeties were able to just play flat-footed. They didn't have to respect the run, and I think that's going to help you out. And when Florida does want to run their play action, they want to take shots, and so your safeties can certainly help out there. Number 2. Don't let DJ chunk his way down the field. You want him to have to methodically move his way down the field. Don't let him just gain a bunch of yards in 1 or 2 plays and let him get in scoring position rather quickly. Make him, as a true freshman, consistently have to make decisions against your defense and beat you play after play after play. Don't let it be just 2 plays. Number 3, jump out early. This has been a case in this rivalry where if Georgia is able to make it a multiple score lead in the first half, first quarter, or even second quarter, that typically sets the tone for how the rest of the game is going to go. You noted the 20-point swing, 21-point swing that they had a few years ago where they forced 3 straight turnovers and the offense absolutely nailed Coffin everything. So if you can do that early on in this football game, I don't see Georgia having any more struggles the rest of the way, and I see Georgia handling business.
That boy J. Will, give him 3. You said shots. My ADD brain immediately went like the.
Oh, I heard you.
Oh, yeah. He was singing LMFAO for about 20 seconds.
I feel like Peter Griffin when they show him in the monkeys banging the cymbals in his head when his wife's talking. Sometimes that's how my ADD brain be doing y'all's takes. And I apologize for that. That's not my fault. It's probably the football brain.
It's okay.
That's on me.
It's all right, man.
Shot, 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 shot.
All right, my 3 are, first one is, and it's kind of basic, but make DJ look like a freshman. DJ Lagway is in his first year of college football. He's prone to make mistakes. That's just the way it is when you're young and green in that. Take advantage of that. You have a defense that is one of the best in the country that can make DJ Lagway look at times like, what the hell was he thinking? He's already shown you that in some instances he's turnover prone. Make him look like a freshman. Number 2, execute on offense. It's about as simple as it can be. You've had multiple instances this year throughout the entire season where something's drawn up well and one person doesn't execute or the other person fails to do this, or it's been all over. It's been the quarterback, the running back, the wide receiver, the O-line. It doesn't matter. As long as you guys are executing, you don't even have to play your best game. Just execute when it's there. You don't have to make otherworldly plays, make incredible catches. If you could guarantee me that this team executes on 95% rate and doesn't make any shocking, oh my God, types plays, I think that they're the best offense in the country. That's how good Mike Bubba has been drawing things up. And then number 3, Jay, Will, you and I are the same note. Kill the crowd early. If you code
half of it,
yes, kill the away crowd early, or kill the Florida crowd early. If
hold on, sorry. You know what I think's horse shit?
What's that?
I think it's horse shit that Florida and Georgia have to run out of a similar tunnel there at Jacksonville, and Florida gets to run out of their home side of the tunnel, and Georgia has to get booed on every single time. I think that's horse shit. Is that fair?
That is fair. I mean, yeah, I do see what you're saying there. But
Continue with your takes. My bad.
no, it's all good. It's an interesting observation. Yeah, the last one is like when the ESPN camera is panning over the stadium and it's the fourth quarter, beginning of fourth quarter, make that Florida side empty. Because if this is a fourth quarter game, like anything can happen at that point, especially with the Steelers college football we've had. So
Got Kirk on the call too.
first time, I think.
First time ever.
Of this game? He's
Yeah.
called this one? Yeah, because it's always CBS on 3:30.
Always been.
Now, my question is ESPN's crew as good as CBS crew at finding surrender cobras? Because this game
I don't know,
provides
dude.
the best surrender cobras
They
of
were
all
pretty
time.
good with the camera at Texas.
Yeah?
They got Buddy looking like Conway Twitty.
Yeah, they got
Yeah.
Conway Twitty.
I wanna talk about him. He went viral, and he's got his moment of fame. And do you know what his lifelong dream was?
to be on the Talk to a podcast.
Yes. He said, if you give me that, no more question, no more requests. On God?
Conway Twitty was known as a
Someone get this man a PR manager. What are we doing?
He's down bad, bro.
That was the one thing.
everything.
The one. We got half the chat going, talk Tua. What is that?
You guys don't even want to know.
No.
Crazy
The
work.
internet, who has selected the last year of who's going to be famous on
Just
the internet?
bad selections.
Yeah.
Why?
The Justice League bullshit. Can't we all see that dad is obviously manipulating? Can't we obviously see that dad is manipulating his kids? We can all see that.
Yeah.
We all agree it's manipulation of children. But we're all like, yeah, let's put them on Jimmy Fallon. Boom. Just a
Damn.
reason to flex. We've got a super chat here from Taylor Huntley, which is actually going to transition us. Should UGA fans be hoping LSU and Texas A&M wins out? Kirby's got a cockamamie theory.
Not even
Let's
a
hear it.
cockamamie theory. It's just a
It's about as
hypothetical
cockamamie as
situation.
cockamamie gets.
Definitely not. So if you're a Georgia fan, you might not know that winning out this season does not guarantee you a spot in the SEC championship. As the way things go right now, LSU and Texas A&M are 1-2. LSU obviously has one loss. If both of these teams win out, Texas A&M and LSU included, they will be in the conference championship for that reason because it goes records, head-to-head, LSU and Georgia won't have played. Then it's record against common opponents. If LSU wins out, that means they have beaten Bama, which will be Georgia did not beat Bama, which means LSU and A&M are in the conference championship. Now, that might seem like a bad thing. You're not going to get a first-round bye. I think, honestly, that's a really good scenario. Here's the one thing. Number one, what's the main incentive for playing in the conference championship game besides, the prestige of doing so? You win, you get a first-round bye, right? Well, if you're not playing in the conference championship game, does that not already serve a bye for you? Plus, there's no risk of if you lose, you have to play 17 games now. Because we have to assume if Georgia makes a conference championship, they're going to be a playoff team, win or lose that game. But if you lose it, You're going to have to play 17 games if you want to win the national title. Not playing it at all, still have to play 16. It's the same amount you'd play if you won the SEC and got a first-round bye. Secondly, the first-round bye of the playoffs might be the best case. Might not be the best case. Think about this. You get that week off after a tough, hard-fought conference championship game. You have to take an entire week. Ask the Atlanta Braves how things like that worked out. And I know that's going to be a shot for some Atlanta fans. I'm sorry, but you might not want to lose momentum here. Getting that week off at the end of the regular season and then preparing to gear up instead of a bye week in the middle of the toughest stretch for you, I think is more beneficial. Third is the fifth seed is a cakewalk, and that's what you would assume Georgia would be. 11-1, didn't go to the conference title game. They are going to be the 5th seed team. It's not their fault that their conference didn't allow them to win out. You're telling me that Georgia could have the opportunity to be a first-round home game against a, I don't know, Army or a Boise State after getting a week off from LSU and Texas A&M playing against themselves in what is usually a pretty hard-fought game. That's a better scenario for Georgia than going to the SEC championship and playing either a Texas A&M, or an LSU team where I would say is much less of a guaranteed win than if you play Army or Boise State or Navy or UTSA or Notre Dame.
All right, I want to say this first and foremost. That was a very well thought out and well addressed take that you just delivered.
All right.
However, we've all but confirmed, we didn't, but he did, that Kirby Smart listens to this network.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm just imagining Kirby Smart, who is on the record saying that the SEC championship game is a better football venue and a better football game than the Super Bowl.
I would agree with that. More passionate.
We are now saying that you don't want to play for that.
I'm not saying you don't want to play for it, but if things
you
stick
gave
out,
quite a dissertation on why that game
if things go the way they do, the fact that you don't play for it could honestly be better for them if you do. That's what I'm saying.
My only pushback to that is if you play in the SEC championship and you win it, you pretty much know exactly where you're going to be in this seeding process. You know what your path is going to look like for the most part to go to a national title of. We get a first round bye. We know one of the two opponents we're going to play, and then you kind of have an idea of that. Whereas if you don't go, you're at the mercy of the college football playoff committee. So even if you know you're 11-1, so you know you're going to be put into the mix somewhere. You're going to be a top 12 team. But what if Texas A&M wins out, LSU wins out, LSU beats Texas A&M? It's a close game. Texas A&M only lost the SEC championship game in the SEC. That doesn't mean you're going to be the 5 seed.
Yeah, but you'll still be a 6 seed and you'll get a home playoff game.
But what about what happens in the Big Ten? Maybe they want to put maybe they want to put the Big Ten team over you at number 6 seed. So this thought of it's just a gift for the 5 seed. There is certainly a path where that does happen, but my only pushback is you're putting yourself at the mercy of the committee to do what you want them to do.
11-2 Big Ten loser, being Ohio State or being Penn State, whoever, or being an 12-1 Oregon football team is getting ranked ahead of that third SEC team that sat at home during the SEC championship game.
I don't know about that.
I do. They're not going to punish you for playing in a conference championship game.
But they're not. Are they going to punish you for going 11-1?
Well, or
are they? So
if it's Oregon
Ohio
though.
State, in that version.
But here's the hypothetical then.
You were 11-1.
So what's going to happen is that Georgia wins out. They're a top 3 team no matter what. I mean that you can't change that all the way up until the SEC championship game. They're going to be a top 3 team. You're telling me that after these conference championship games go, Georgia doesn't play, doesn't lose, doesn't do anything. They're going to have to be dropped 5 spots because of that. You're going to punish Georgia for doing nothing.
You dropped outside the top 4 after one game last year.
Yeah, but you lost.
You sat at home.
There's a difference between but you lose.
I'm just saying, if Oregon goes 12-0, and then they only lose the Big Ten championship, they're getting put ahead of an 11-1 Georgia.
Correct.
I guess, but it's still.
I'm just saying, you're putting yourself at the mercy of the committee again to do the right thing. And one thing we have talked about is that's not a good spot to be. You want to be the person that is. We know what we're going to be. We're going to be one of the top 4 teams. We know we have a bye. We know one of the 2 teams that we're going to be playing against. I think so. I'm with you though of saying if you are the 5 seed, you are certainly in a desirable position of you get a home playoff game against probably the Group of 5 winner, or maybe even someone like Notre Dame, and then you're going to move on and you're probably going to play the Big 12 championship winner. That's certainly an easier path to go to the top 4 than a lot of other teams ahead of you. So I'm with you on that. But again, that's a matter of if you get ranked in at the 5 seed.
I think we also can't operate on the assumption that you're not going to get punished for losing a conference championship game.
Yeah, I mean,
Because
this is going to be something that the committee's going to have to answer
For
next
sure.
week.
Yeah.
Next week, I need an answer. Hey, if a 5th-ranked team goes into that SEC championship game and gets beat by 30,
Are they dropping out?
are they
7
dropping
spots?
out? Is there now 10-2, way worse than Missouri or Bama's 10-2 that set at home? You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
they need to be answering and asking that question next week when we get to this first reveal of the college football playoff rankings.
The reality is that this 12-team playoff has created a real issue for the conference championship thing, because for so long the conference championship was kind of the catalyst for, are you going to make it into the playoff or not? And now you can't. They're trying to say that the meaning of it has been stripped away, when in reality you can't do that.
The simple solution for this, in my opinion, is you need reseeding. That's what you need. And because you want to emphasize still conference championship games, you want to emphasize you're the number 1 seed. You earned the easiest path to this national championship game. So therefore, if whoever's the worst team after the first round, that's who you should be playing. Whoever is the worst seed in this college football playoff system that you created, that's who number 1 needs to be playing. And so that's where I think that's what I think would help with this situation a lot.
People thought moving to 12 would make this easier. I think it's only complicated it a bit.
Yeah.
For sure.
It's only created more variables and more people to be pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going home 10-2, mad as F this
yeah.
year. No doubt about it. Something UGA's never done. What is it?
So the Georgia-Florida rivalry is a storied rivalry, obviously. They've played since the early 1900s, have played 103 games, according to Georgia, 102 according to Florida. There's a big argument about World War II. Georgia has dominated this rivalry as of late.
What's the big argument?
The big
about
argument
World War II?
was that
Who started it?
Georgia won a game in 1942, 75-0, and Florida claims that that game was null and void because, they had players fighting in the war at the
How
time.
many?
I don't know, but I mean, it was enough to lose 75-0. So,
Thank you for your service and that dub.
are you on mic right now, or are you just talking?
No, I'm on mic.
Okay,
I unmuted the laugh.
Okay, I was making
Yeah,
sure.
no, we're
Get
just
some aerobics in.
we're
Over here
lingering.
stretching at the desk.
We're
so.
lingering.
Anywho,
Got a lot of nervous energy right now.
I can see
what are you
that.
nervous
Yeah,
for?
I'm not. I'm just want to move. I feel like I've been
That's
sitting all day.
Anyway, Georgia has the opportunity to win 4 straight games against Florida for the first time since 78-83. But they have the opportunity to do something they've never done against Florida in series history. If Georgia wins this game on Saturday by 20 points or more, that will be the 4th straight victory that Georgia has had over the Gators of 20 points or more, which will be the first time in history that they have beaten Florida 4 straight games 20 points or more. They've done it a couple times. They did it 3 times. They've done it 3 times since, obviously, the last 3. Never been 4, though. So, I mean, you do that, and it's kind of really turning a new leaf in this rivalry, I think.
They ain't been beat that bad ever consecutively.
Not 4 times.
Hmm.
You did rattle off 8 straight wins. I think your longest win streak is 7 or 8. So, I mean, there have been pockets where you absolutely had their number, but it hasn't been utter domination, which, I mean, 20-point victories is utter domination for sure.
People saying too much caffeine. I'm not over my limit today. You gotta limit those things.
Oh, wow.
So, we got tape.
Yeah, we do. I picked this
You
one.
picked this one, and you like
Yeah.
this
There's,
one. Huh?
dude, I'm going to be shocked if you get this one.
I'm not gonna put anything past you. I just
Thank
wanted
you
to see
for
what the
believing
tape
in me,
was.
man.
I just wanted to
Thank
kind
you
of
for
reminisce
believing
a
in
little
me.
bit
I'll
here.
be shocked if you
Oh man, this is old school, huh?
Yeah.
It's not as old as what it looks, though.
Shit,
I'll
that
say
looks like 06.
Yeah,
No,
no.
no,
See,
no.
it's not that far back.
It's
Maybe-
it's a Kirby Smart player.
Ooh. All right, so Lorenzo played at Norcross. This is definitely not him. All right. This is also not Georgia High School. Oh, that might be Mays.
You would be correct. It is Mays.
That's Mays. Hey,
Bad
the
unicorn.
kid's pretty good, huh?
Those unis are kind of hard to miss.
Bad
Who
unicorn.
the came from Mays? It's not Walter Grant, is it?
No.
Oh, the number 9 did he wear 9 in college?
No.
No.
Give me a time range here.
This
This was early,
Early
like
Kirby
first
Smart era.
year Kirby Smart. All
And
the
did
way
he-
into 2019, I want to say.
So it's not Walter Grant. It's not Lorenzo Carter. Has the chat gotten it?
No, they haven't actually.
No.
Oh,
He was a starter, but I wouldn't say that he was a super impactful
All right,
player.
someone in the chat just got it.
Ooh, that's a hell of a play.
Mm.
And this didn't pan out?
He was a good college player.
Reliable college linebacker.
Is it Bellamy?
No.
Nope.
But
Is
you're
it
in the right time area.
Right team.
DeAndre Walker?
No.
Nope.
I'm out, I guess.
All right, number 9. You're in the same kind of number range, like very similar number.
Single-digit linebacker. Played alongside Roquan.
That's not Natrez Patrick, is
Yeah.
it?
It is.
That's Natrez Patrick?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. No wonder he played in the league for 3.5 years. Holy hell. He got thick in college.
Yeah,
He did.
He looks like he's 6'3 plus here.
Oh, I know.
And I guess he did end up at like 6'3.5", 240 at the NFL Combine. Wow. I feel like I cheated even getting the Natrez there, but I watched him work out at a Glenn Ford. Glenn Ford goes by I Dare You. Trained AJ Terrell and Avion Terrell back in the day, and I was at a workout for Glenn, and here comes this grown ass man in Los Angeles Rams gear, and I'm like, who's this guy? And Natrez Patrick. Now, the reason I don't think I nailed that one, way before my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way before.
That's
my time.
like I said, I would have been shocked if you got that one because it's a fairly niche guy in the Georgia space. Like you have to really have paid attention to Georgia football to remember that name one. And I knew you weren't really heavy in recruiting at this point.
The only reason why he came to mind is because he had a good profile coming into college. I bet he had some good tape.
He did.
Yeah.
That's some damn good tape right there. I'm glad I got the Maze unis at least.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of hard.
Those
to miss.
are some
Yeah, they're kind of gross.
baby blue and yellow.
Yellow. I had a
Not-
buddy that played for Maze in high school before he transferred over, and we used to always make fun of the color waves too.
Yeah,
It's an
pretty
interesting
gross.
one.
It's not great. Going back to this Georgia missing the SEC championship game though, is all of that worth it if you get a home playoff game?
It would be kind of lit to have a home
Like
playoff
let
game.
me just paint this picture for
I
you.
think that's the goofiest thing about this.
Yeah.
That you earn a bye and you don't get a bye week or a home game. That's so
Mhm.
stupid.
Well, let
Yeah.
me paint this picture
Because we
for
gotta pay tribute to the New Year's Six Bowls,
Mm-hmm.
so these stadiums can make money.
Let me paint this picture for you. Friday after Thanksgiving, Georgia plays Georgia Tech, has a blackout. Lit.
He's
Still
crazy.
selling it.
He's really selling.
Yeah.
It's
all
gonna
this right
happen.
now.
First of all,
Kirby, he said the SEC championship game doesn't matter, so don't give him what he wants.
Oh my God! Don't put words in my mouth.
Don't do it. Don't give him.
Let
what
me
he
paint
wants.
the picture for you. Has a blackout, beats Georgia Tech. Super crazy atmosphere. You get a week off. Don't have to play in the conference championship game. Next week, Heisman winning Ashton Genty comes to town. Tell me that's not insane. I would take that over a trip to Atlanta. Just saying. Yeah, now I got you all on board with this.
No, I'm reading super chats. Nicholas Goldfarb says, you always talk about UGA being a pro-style offense. Why do you think they don't play under center more like a lot of NFL teams do? Thinking of Shanahan McVay offenses, big fan, love the content. I think this one's pretty simple. Do you have the answer?
I was reading chat. What's the question? Let me see.
Why aren't they under center if they're a pro-style offense?
Because most NFL teams don't do that anymore.
That's not the answer I was looking for. Do you know? You know?
Quarterback doesn't have to turn his
It
back
also,
to the
yeah,
defense.
you also don't have to turn your back. And
Nope.
what do you got?
Screen game.
Ah,
Can't throw as much screens under center.
That is true.
Defensive linemen get their hands
that makes
involved.
sense.
That's why. And the blocking rules in college allow it much more than the pro ranks.
I gotcha. That makes
So.
sense.
Yep.
Has the under center quarterback died?
Yeah, guys don't even know how to teach it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I found out the other day that when Bill O'Brien interviewed for the first time with Bill Belichick, the first thing he did was he walked him in there and said, "Hey, coach, how do you teach the quarterback center exchange? How do you teach the quarterback center exchange?" Basically, it was Belichick's way of learning what kind of teacher are you, right? How do you go about teaching concepts, even as simple as how do you take the QC exchange? Do you know how you take the QC exchange? Are you were your coaches an interlock thumb guy?
I did never venture into that space of the offense. So
All right, so you take your top thumbs always, your throwing hands always on the top. Okay, you interlock your thumbs so when the ball's snapped, your hands don't break and it doesn't go through your hands. Okay, we interlock the thumbs. We're firm on the butt. Okay, we're going to push that butt up and let him know that we're there. All right. Location is determined upon depth of and arm length from center, but normally, for lack of a better term, we're finding that taint region. We're going to be right in there. Okay, we're going to press on the butt. All right, and as a snapper, your thumb is on the laces. All right, your thumb, not your hands, not your fingers, your thumb. All right, so when you snap and you pronate your wrist, those laces end up in that top hand.
Makes sense.
So there we go.
I like it.
I hate the dead ball snapping shotgun. If you do it, it's because you're a non-athlete, period, point blank.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah, I hate dead ball snapping. I think it's the stupidest thing that ever
What do you
came
hate
into college
about it?
football. Huh?
What do you hate about it?
I think it was a cop-out. I think it was coaches couldn't teach guys how to snap regularly, so they figured out this dead ball snap method, and then everyone tries to do it now. And 9 times out of 10, if guys can't snap like regularly, they're uncomfortable snapping. So even when you dead ball snap them, their propensity is to just roll the ball back because they're going to drag the nose on the bottom of the ground. Yeah, I've always hated it. I just think you're shortcutting the teaching.
This is some deep football talk right here.
What else did you expect?
No,
6
hey.
hours into the show.
Hey, I like it.
Yeah. All right, we good?
I believe
good.
so.
I'm good. Love you guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.